Chapter 2922 Irresistible Power, You Don't Need to Threaten Me. Justice is in the hearts of the people. Let me tell you, my Kong-Xian sect did not steal the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. It is impossible for you to search our Dantian Sea of Consciousness. All cultivators know that the Dantian Sea of Consciousness is the most important secret. If you want to search our Dantian Sea of Consciousness, you might as well kill us directly. Lu Ming said loudly. There were many secrets in his Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. The Heaven and Earth Thousand Dao scripture cultivated many types of Shen power. There was also the battle formula and the quantity formula. If any of them were exposed, he would die without a burial ground. How could he let the other party search? If you are really suspicious, we can swear on our life source to confirm that we did not steal the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. In the end, Lu Ming still made a concession. After all, he had to consider the entire Kong-Xian sect. Swear on the source of life? I don't trust you. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion's treasure is so precious, you can sacrifice a few lives, it's completely worth it. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. If one were to make an oath with their life source, the oath wouldn't be broken immediately. Instead, they might die from qi deviation in their later cultivation. The other party's meaning was very obvious. Even if someone from Kong-Xian sect really stole the treasure of 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, they could also swear on their life source. At that time, at most, those who stole the treasure would break their oath and die. But to the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor, it was worth it. The expressions of Wuxia and the others were a little unsightly. It was obvious that the other party would only be at ease if they searched their Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. If that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Please go back. It's impossible for you to search our Dantian and Sea of Consciousness. Lu Ming's expression turned cold. He had already made a concession, but the other party was still pressing him, so he was too lazy to talk nonsense. Good, very good. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. After all, I can still check your Dantian and Sea of Consciousness after killing you. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows laughed hideously. Boom! 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 At this moment, a terrifying aura burst out from the 4 burly men. A vast pressure covered the sky and the earth, shrouding the entire planet. Ah, what's going on? What a terrifying aura. A terrifying expert has descended. It's dangerous. The mountain gate of Kong-Xian sect was in chaos. Many people felt the aura and were shocked to death. Some people who were cultivating were suppressed by the aura. Their bodies trembled and they spat out blood. 3rd level of the God King realm. They're all 3rd level God Kings. Wuxia cried out in shock. The other Divine King elders were also shocked and their faces changed. These 4 burly men were all 3rd level God King realm experts. In the Qin Tian Star region, they were the deans of the Yimo Academy and the sect master of the Indestructible Sword sect. They were definitely overlord level experts. However, 4 of them had come all of a sudden. Lu Ming's expression changed. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor was indeed terrifying. They could even casually send out a 3rd level God King. Moreover, it seemed like their status wasn't very high. It seems that I can only let the Bone Devil come. Lu Ming's mind was racing. In this situation, he could only let the Bone Demon attack and force the other party to retreat. Then, he would bring the entire Kong-Xian sect to find a place to hide. Other than this method, there was no other way. A bunch of country bumpkins who haven't seen the world. A few 3rd level Divine Kings scared you to this extent. Seeing Lu Ming and the rest's expressions change drastically, as if they had been frightened, the young man with the scale between his eyebrows felt pleased and could not help but mock them. Now, I'll give you one last chance. Open your storage rings and your dantian and sea of consciousness for us to check, and we can spare your lives. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows continued to speak coldly. The expressions of Yu Wuya and the other Kong Xian sect elders and inner sect elders kept changing. The other side had 4 third-level Divine King realm experts. Once they made a move, they would die without a doubt. Therefore, they were already hesitating. Compared to being killed, having their dantian and sea of consciousness checked was not unacceptable. However, Lu Ming's attitude was very firm and they were hesitant. Lu Ming had Yulong behind him. I'll give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't agree after 3 breaths, you'll die. 3. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows said coldly. The expressions of Yu Wuya and the others changed drastically. They looked at Lu Ming, then at the young man with the scale between his eyebrows. They were extremely anxious. 2. And NBSP, kill. The scale youth spoke once more, his eyes radiating cold killing intent. Qin Wushang, you're really impressive. You came to the Qin Heaven Star region to act like a tyrant, hee. At this moment, a mocking voice came from afar. Who is it? The young man with the scale between his brows shouted coldly as he looked in the direction of the voice. There was a sword light flying toward them at an astonishing speed. In the next moment, the sword light receded, and a combat sword appeared in the starry sky. The battle sword was 10,000 meters long and incomparably huge. 5 figures stood on the battle sword. A young man and 4 burly men. Wu Zifeng, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the rest were a little shocked. The young man on the sword was really Wu Zifeng. Miss Qingxiang, Lu Ming, Grandpa Yu, Wu Zifeng stepped down and greeted Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Finally, he bowed to Yu Wuya. Zifeng, you're here. Good, good, good. Seeing Wu Zifeng, Yu Wuya was overjoyed. He said, good, 3 times in a row, and his whole body seemed to be completely relaxed. Wu Zifeng, it's you. The young man with the scale between his brows could not help but exclaim when he saw Wu Zifeng, as if he knew him. Qin Wushang, now, get lost. Wu Zifeng shouted indifferently. The young man with the scale between his eyebrows was Qin Wushang. Wu Zifeng, I'm here to investigate the case of the stolen treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Do you want to interfere? Qin Wushang said coldly. Don't use the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion to pressure me. You can lie to others, but you can't lie to me. You're just an ordinary disciple of the Qin family. You can't represent the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Don't use a chicken feather as a token of authority and show off in front of us. Wu Zifeng sneered. At the same time, the 4 burly men behind Wu Zifeng also erupted with a shocking aura. They were all 3rd-level divine kings. It seems like Wu Zifeng is also from the Great Void Holy Dynasty. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the past, he already knew that Wu Zifeng was not from the Qin Heaven Starfield. It turned out that he was from the Great Void Sacred Dynasty, and his background was more powerful than he had imagined. Even Qin Wushang seemed to be quite afraid of Wu Zifeng. Qin Wushang's expression was unsightly. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion had a vast territory. Under it, there were naturally many powerful forces. These forces all existed in the form of clans. Many large and ancient clans helped the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion rule the vast territory. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manners Paragon. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. These ancient aristocratic families had been passed down for countless years. Their foundations were deep, and their strength was unfathomable. They were far from what the Qin Heaven Starfield could compare to. The Wu family and the Qin family were both aristocratic families like this. However, Qin Wushang's status in the Qin clan was not high. Just as Wu Zifeng had said, he did not mix well in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. He only came to the Qin Heaven Star Field to show off his power and did not represent the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. Wu Zifeng, it seems that you have to intervene. This is about the 9 absolute divine crystal. If something goes wrong, you won't be able to bear the responsibility. Not to mention you, even your Wu family can't bear the responsibility. Qin Wushang said coldly. You don't have to worry about that. I can also guarantee that the Kongxian sect is not the one who stole the 9 absolute divine crystal. You can get lost now. Wu Zifeng said. Good, very good. I can leave, but, Qin Wushang gritted his teeth. Halfway through his sentence, he suddenly turned to look at Lu Ming. Then, his body trembled and he rushed toward Lu Ming like a stream of light, sending a palm toward Lu Ming. The force whistled and the palm force pressed down on Lu Ming with the force of mountains and seas. 6th level heavenly deity, sacred grade divine power. In an instant, Lu Ming had determined Qin Wushang's strength. At the critical moment, Lu Ming did not have time to think. He could only channel his divine energy and wave his palm to resist. However, Lu Ming did not expect that Qin Wushang would suddenly attack him. In a hurry, he could only use 30% of his divine power. Boom! The two palms collided. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he retreated 1,000 meters before he could stabilize himself. Qin Wushang, what are you doing? Wu Zifeng shouted angrily. What are you doing? This lowly ant doesn't know his place and dares to talk back to me. I won't pursue the matter with the Kongxian sect today, but this person must die. Qin Wushang shouted. His face was ferocious and filled with strong killing intent. With that, Qin Wushang's aura became even stronger. He stepped forward, and waves of powerful pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. This person isn't weaker than the Supreme Universe. Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. Qin Wushang's cultivation base was at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm. The divine power he controlled was of the divine grade. He was a genius on the same level as the Supreme Universe. However, from Wu Zifeng's tone, Qin Wushang seemed to be doing very well in the Qin family. If such a genius was only average in the Qin clan, then how many geniuses did the Qin clan have? Or rather, how many geniuses were there in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, or even the entire Great Void Holy Dynasty? For a moment, Lu Ming's imagination was running wild. He even had some desire in his heart. Currently, among the younger generation in the Qin Heaven Star Zone, Lu Ming was almost standing at the peak. As long as Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and Sangyan Pajuan had not broken through, he was confident that he could defeat them. Thus, he yearned for stronger opponents that could give him pressure and make him stronger. As long as I'm here, don't even think about touching a single hair on Lu Ming. Wu Zifeng said coldly and waved his hand. Bang! Behind Wu Zifeng, a burly man stepped out. His violent aura burst forth and blocked Qin Wushang's path. However, immediately after, a burly man behind Qin Wushang also stepped out. His aura erupted like a volcano and broke through the aura of the Wu family's experts. Qin Wushang regained his freedom. Let the younger generation solve their own problems. We, the older generation, just watch. The big man from the Qin family said coldly as he stared at the experts from the Wu family. The experts from both sides were in a confrontation. However, the people that both sides brought were about the same and their cultivation levels were about the same. It just so happened that they were in a stalemate and could not interfere in the matter between Lu Ming and Qin Wushang. That's right. The matters of the younger generation should be settled by themselves. I want to see what gave a lowly ant from the Qin Heaven Star System the courage to speak to me like that. Qin Wuxiang laughed out loud. He raised his 6th-level celestial deity cultivation to the peak and stomped towards Lu Ming with a face full of confidence. He could tell that Lu Ming was only a first-tier celestial deity. In his opinion, a first-tier celestial deity would not be able to withstand a single blow. Qin Wuxiang, you dare, Wu Zifeng shouted. However, his cultivation was not as good as Qin Wuxiang's, so he could not wipe his hands. Brother Wu, since he wants to fight, I'll fight with him. You don't need to interfere. Lu Ming raised his hand and stopped Wu Zifeng. Hee, kid, you have some guts. However, you want to fight me with trash like you? Kneel down. Qin Wuxiang snorted and raised his hand again. A huge palm print formed and pressed down on Lu Ming, trying to force him to his knees. You're the one who should kneel. Lu Ming's indifferent voice was heard. At the same time, the 10 divine flames in his body burned fiercely. The 10 types of divine powers circulated wildly and gathered together, rushing toward Lu Ming's arm. Whoosh! Lu Ming pointed his finger and a spear's gleam shot up into the sky, piercing through the 9 heavens and the starry sky. It was brighter than a shooting star. Bang! The spear radiance and Qin Wuxiang's palm print collided with a violent boom. Qin Wuxiang's palm print exploded and disappeared. What? Qin Wuxiang was shocked. Why did Lu Ming's aura suddenly increase by a few times? The attack that he unleashed was also extremely shocking, crushing his attack in one fell swoop. The people who came with Qin Wuxiang could not help but widen their eyes, their faces filled with shock. So powerful. Lu Ming is really getting more and more powerful. Wu Zifeng was also very surprised. With just this bit of strength, I still thought how strong the geniuses of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion were? Lu Ming's faint voice was filled with mockery. Kid, you're quite strong. However, I didn't use my full strength just now. Now, you'll regret it. 7 Injury Divine Fist. Qin Wuxiang shouted and changed his attack. He clenched his fists and a strange light emanated from his body and gathered on his fists. Boom! Boom! Qin Wuxiang threw 2 punches in a row. The 2 fist prints were like 2 meteors, blasting toward Lu Ming. It was fast, but its power was shocking. This level of combat strength was already not below the full strength of the Supreme Universe. In the Qin Heaven Star region, he was definitely considered a top genius. However, with Lu Ming's current abilities, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with an opponent like Supreme Universe. Lu Ming didn't even need to use his ancient god body and the battle character formula to multiply his combat power. It was enough to rely on the 10 types of divine power and various divine skills and secret techniques. Divine Dragon Phenomenon. Lu Ming also threw a punch. Roar. A dragon's roar reverberated through the firmament. A huge 9-clawed divine dragon appeared and pounced at Qin Wuxiang with a furious roar. Lu Ming then threw another punch and another 9-clawed divine dragon appeared. The 2 9-clawed divine dragons twisted their bodies and pounced forward. The 9 dragon claws on their abdomen struck out in succession and let out terrifying howls as if sharp swords were piercing through the air. In reality, that was indeed the case. Now that Lu Ming had cultivated the indestructible sword technique and controlled the indestructible sword force, his divine power contained a terrifying sword force attack. The inextinguishable sword force acted on the 9-clawed divine dragon's sharp claws, making them as sharp as a sword. It elevated Lu Ming's attack power to another level. Chapter 2924 Forceful Suppression. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Boom. Boom. The nine-clawed divine dragon's sharp claws continued to claw at the fist print, causing a series of rumbles. The fist print trembled continuously, and cracks appeared on it. How is that possible? How is that possible? Qin Wuxiang howled in his heart. He was in disbelief. He had already used all his strength and used his ultimate move, but now, he was still at a disadvantage. This was simply unbelievable. He was a 6th-level celestial deity and had even mastered the divine energy while Lu Ming was only a 1st-level celestial deity. An existence that he had regarded as an ant had actually exploded with such shocking battle prowess. It was a huge blow to his self-esteem. I can't lose. How can I lose to an ant from the Qin Heaven Star system? 7 injury divine fist, 7 injury stacking. Qin Wuxiang roared in his heart. His face turned pale and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. After spurting out blood, Qin Wuxiang's face turned pale. However, the force of his fist had become even stronger. Boom! 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 Qin Wuxiang continued to swing his fists. Waves of terrifying fist force burst out continuously and merged with the fist seals from before, causing the power of his fist seals to skyrocket and emit a dazzling radiance. Using his own injuries to increase his attack power, what a brainless secret technique, hee. Lu Ming sneered and then took a step forward. Divine Dragon Phenomenon, come out. Lu Ming shouted. Roar! 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 The dragon's roars continued to ring out in the sky. 4 more dragons' roars were heard in a row. Then, 4 9-clawed divine dragons emerged above Lu Ming's head. In addition to the previous one, there were a total of 6 9-clawed divine dragons. After more than 200 years of cultivation, Lu Ming had already cultivated 6 divine dragon images. The true power of the divine dragon materialization art was gradually revealed. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons pounced at Qin Wuxiang together. The vast dragon might caused the 9 divine dragons pulling the Qin family's carriage to show fear and retreat continuously. This was a suppression due to the difference in levels. In the divine dragon clan, the 9-clawed divine dragon was undoubtedly superior. The power of the 6 9-clawed divine dragons was amazing. Moreover, Lu Ming had mastered the battle formula. Even if he did not trigger the multifold increase in combat power, he could be enhanced by the battle formula when he cast any divine skill or secret skill. The power would be stronger. The attacks from both sides met in the void and an astonishing collision broke out. Then, Qin Wuxiang's fist seal continued to explode and shatter. Pfft! Qin Wuxiang spat out a large mouthful of blood as he retreated. Lu Ming took a step forward. The 6 9-clawed divine dragons roared and chased after him. Hurry, hurry, and help me. Let's suppress this ant together. He shouted. Qin Wuxiang roared. Even now, he still felt that he was superior to Lu Ming. This was a common problem for those who were born in great forces. It was just like how the Qin Heaven Star region's geniuses would act the same when facing the people of the chaotic astral river. They would look down on the people of the chaotic astral river, feeling that they were high and mighty, with a noble status. As for those who had walked up from the bottom, they would not have such a mentality. Kill. There were 5 other young men who came with Qin Wuxiang. At this moment, all of them were charging towards Lu Ming. The moment the 5 young men attacked, the people from the Kongxian sect were shocked. This was because these 5 young men were all terrifying heaven's favorites. They had all mastered the divine power. 3 of them were at the 6th level and 2 of them were at the 5th level. The strength of those 3 6th-level heavenly deities was not the slightest bit weaker than Qin Wuxiang's. The 6 experts joined forces and launched their own ultimate moves, charging toward Lu Ming. Die, brat! 7 injury divine fist. Qin Wuxiang roared. He had been injured by Lu Ming, but the power of his fist force had become stronger. What he cultivated was a secret skill unique to the Qin family. The more injured he was, the more powerful his fist force would be. However, in the face of such an attack, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Battle formula: double the combat power. With a single thought, Lu Ming activated the double combat strength of the battle character formula. A powerful force burst out from his body and filled his entire body. The 6 nine-clawed divine dragons let out a long roar. As their bodies twisted, they swelled up rapidly. Their bodies grew larger and their power became stronger. The 6 nine-clawed divine dragons pounced toward the 6 young men. A spear as huge as a mountain materialized in Lu Ming's palm and he thrust it at one of the youths. The young man was fighting against a 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma Laksana with all his strength. He could not resist the attack of the long spear at all. He was pressed down by the spear light and flew out like a broken sandbag. He was severely injured and his breath was weak. Then, Lu Ming fired another shot at another young man. After Lu Ming had activated the double combat strength, trash like Qin Wuxiang was no longer Lu Ming's match. He was easily crushed. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming attacked continuously with his spear. Each spear attack could suppress one person. In an instant, the 5 young men who attacked from behind were all sent flying by Lu Ming and were severely injured. In the end, Lu Ming's cold gaze swept towards Qin Wuxiang. Ah! Qin Wuxiang was so frightened that he screamed, turned around, and ran. You haven't even knelt down and you want to leave? Lu Ming said coldly. He controlled the 6 divine dragons and surrounded Qin Wuxiang. Brat, stop! At this moment, a burly man from the Qin family shouted and stepped forward. He wanted to deal with Lu Ming personally. However, a burly man from the Wu family stopped him. Let the younger generation settle their own matters. It's better for the older generation not to interfere. The burly man from the Wu family sneered. This sentence was said by the Qin family's burly man before, but now, the Wu family's burly man returned it to him without moving. You, the burly man from the Qin family was furious. He then glared at Lu Ming and said coldly, Qin Wuxiang is a disciple of the Qin clan. Although he is not a core disciple, you want him to kneel? You have to think carefully whether you are worthy of it. His voice was cold and threatening. Even if Qin Wuxiang was not a core member of the Qin clan, he was still a member of the clan. He represented the face of the clan. If Qin Wuxiang were to kneel, it would be equivalent to slapping the face of the clan. I've never heard of the Qin family. I only know that if you want someone to pay, you have to be prepared to pay. If he wants me to kneel, then you have to be prepared to kneel. Kneel! Lu Ming shouted coldly, not giving him any face at all. The 6 nine-clawed divine dragons' huge claws pressed down continuously. How could Qin Wuxiang withstand it? He barely managed to withstand a few moves before he was controlled by the 9-clawed divine dragon phenomenon. With a plop, he knelt in the air before Lu Ming. Qin Wuxiang let out an angry roar that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. This was truly a great humiliation. In the Qin family, he was not a core disciple to begin with, so he was not doing very well. If this matter were to spread to the Qin family, he would probably do even worse and become the Qin family's disgrace. At this moment, he even wanted to die. The other 5 young men of the Qin family were pale with fear. They were glad that they weren't the first ones to step out. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a good ending. Chapter 2925 Star Field Crisis. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Get lost. With a wave of his hand, a surge of energy burst forth and threw Qin Wuxiang away. One of the Qin clan's burly men reached out to catch Qin Wuxiang. His face was extremely cold. Kid, you have guts. I hope you don't set foot in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you will regret what you have done today. Go. The Qin clan's burly man left these words and flew onto the chariot with Qin Wuxiang and the others. Then, the 9 divine dragons roared and pulled the chariot away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Who? Wuxia and the others let out a long breath, but their hearts were still very heavy, as if a huge stone was pressing down on them. Although the Kongxian sect was temporarily safe, they knew that this matter was far from over. The treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion had been stolen. This was definitely a huge matter. They immediately welcomed Wu Zifeng and the Wu family into the Kongxian sect. After some understanding, Lu Ming knew that when Wuxia was young and adventuring, he had inadvertently befriended Wu Zifeng's grandfather. The two of them had gone on adventures together and had a life-and-death friendship. Later on, Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng were betrothed even before they were born. That was why Wu Zifeng often went to the Kongxian sect, and Yu Linglong often went to the Wu family to play. Zifeng, what's going on? In a large hall, Wuxia asked Wu Zifeng. I'm not too sure about the details. I only know that a few months ago, the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, was stolen. The thief was very smart and no one found out. However, the other parties still left behind traces. The experts of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion came to a conclusion based on those traces. The person who stole the treasure is very likely to come from the Qin Heaven Star system. Wu Zifeng said. How is this possible? The defense of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion is so well hidden and there are so many experts. In the Qin Heaven Star field, who could steal the treasure from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion? Wuxia and the others could not believe it. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a third-level god king like the demoness of the unique demon academy, Xing Mo, was already considered a peak expert. However, such a cultivation base was far from enough in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion. Not to mention the third level of the God King realm, even the fourth or fifth level of the God King realm was far from enough. Who in the Qin Heaven Starfield had the ability to steal the precious treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor? I'm also very confused about this. However, since the clues point here, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion will definitely not give up. This time, not only did the Qin family send people, but the other aristocratic families also sent people over. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone's expression became even more serious. This matter was not simple at all. The crowd chatted for a while more before dispersing. As expected, a few days later, news after news spread in the Qin Heaven Star region. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor, people from all the major families had come. Not only had Kongxian sect been visited, but all the major forces in the Qin Heaven Starfield had also been visited. For example, the 3 Overlord forces, the Ice Soul clan, and the Scarlet Flame clan. The people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor were domineering. No matter which power they were from, they wanted to check their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness. The other powers were not like the Kongxian sect, who had the help of the Wu family. When faced with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor, all the other powers were helpless and could only obediently accept it. Their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness were checked. Even the Red Flame clan and the Ice Soul clan were no exception. But the result was that nothing was found. There was not a single clue about the 9 Absolute God Crystal. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor's people were furious. They gave the Qin Heaven Star field 10 years. After 10 years, if they still didn't hand over the 9 Absolute Divine Crystals, they would send an army over and trample the Qin Heaven Star field. For a time, the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield were in a state of panic, and everyone was in danger. Who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor? Why isn't he handing it over? Is he trying to kill everyone? Which goddamned bastard harmed the entire star field for his own selfish reasons? He's going to die a horrible death. Many people cursed. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a storm was brewing, but there was nothing. Not long after, another piece of news spread throughout the Qin Heaven Starfield. During this period of time, the paragons of the various major forces of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor had entered the Qin Heaven Starfield one after another. There were even geniuses who set up an arena on Myriad Spirit Planet to challenge the geniuses of the Qin Heaven Starfield. The result was naturally that the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses were crushed and didn't obtain a single victory. An ant is an ant, truly incompetent. What heaven's favorites? They're all trash. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's paragon was incomparably powerful, depreciating the Qin Tian Starfield's paragon to be worthless. Some people were furious and went to challenge the geniuses of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. However, the result was already set in stone. No one would win. This made the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion even more arrogant. If the younger generation of the Qin Heaven Starfield can defeat us, we can extend the time limit to 100 years, 1,000 years, or even more. In the end, some of the geniuses from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion said. This moved the hearts of the experts from the various major factions of the Qin Heaven Starfield. If they could really extend their time, they might have a chance to find the thief and avoid being killed. At once, all the top talents from all the forces were on their way to Planet Thousand Spirits. The divine sons of the 3 overlord forces, as well as the top talents of the Ice Soul Clan and the Scarlet Flame Clan, all went to Planet Thousand Spirits. Of course, experts from all the major forces also secretly went to Planet Thousand Spirits. For a time, Myriad Spirit Star, the largest trading planet in the Qin Heaven Star system, became extremely lively. Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others had also arrived on planet Myriad Spirit. The arena set up by the paragons of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is in the central square. Let's go and take a look, Lu Ming said. Not long after, they arrived at the central square. There was a huge empty space in the central square. In the middle of the empty space, there was a huge fighting ring. During this period of time, this area was filled with people. On one side of the fighting ring, there was a row of seats. A group of young men and women sat on the seats. These young men and women all had haughty expressions as they looked at the crowd in all directions with faint disdain in their eyes. They were all heaven's favorites from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. There are quite a lot of people here. Unfortunately, they're all trash. Not a single one of them is decent. A golden-robed young man's calm voice reverberated throughout the entire area. That's right, they're too useless. No matter what, this is still a starfield, and they're just a few cats and dogs. This is really disappointing. Another young man said in disdain. In the surroundings, when the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield heard this, they were all furious. Humph, the true geniuses of my Qin Heaven Starfield haven't arrived yet. Don't be arrogant. Someone couldn't help but ask. Oh? There were real geniuses? You didn't brag about it, did you? Ha ha ha. The golden-robed young man laughed with disdain. Who's bragging? I believe those heaven's favorites will be here soon. At that time, they might be able to fight with you. That person from the Qin Heaven Starfield said. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2925 Star Field Crisis. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Get lost. With a wave of his hand, a surge of energy burst forth and threw Qin Wushang away. One of the Qin clan's burly men reached out to catch Qin Wushang. His face was extremely cold. Kid, you have guts. I hope you don't set foot in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you will regret what you have done today. Go. The Qin clan's burly man left these words and flew onto the chariot with Qin Wuxiang and the others. Then, the 9 divine dragons roared and pulled the chariot away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Who? Wuxia and the others let out a long breath, but their hearts were still very heavy, as if a huge stone was pressing down on them. Although the Kongxian sect was temporarily safe, they knew that this matter was far from over. The treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion had been stolen. This was definitely a huge matter. They immediately welcomed Wu Zifeng and the Wu family into the Kongxian sect. After some understanding, Lu Ming knew that when Wuxia was young and adventuring, he had inadvertently befriended Wu Zifeng's grandfather. The two of them had gone on adventures together and had a life-and-death friendship. Later on, Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng were betrothed even before they were born. That was why Wu Zifeng often went to the Kongxian sect, and Yu Linglong often went to the Wu family to play. Zifeng, what's going on? In a large hall, Wuxia asked Wu Zifeng. I'm not too sure about the details. I only know that a few months ago, the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion, the 9 Absolute God Crystal, was stolen. The thief was very smart and no one found out. However, the other party still left behind traces. The experts of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion came to a conclusion based on those traces. The person who stole the treasure is very likely to come from the Qin Heaven star system. Wu Zifeng said. How is this possible? The defense of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion is so well hidden and there are so many experts. In the Qin Heaven star field, who could steal the treasure from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion? Wuxia and the others could not believe it. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a third-level god king like the demoness of the unique demon academy, Sheng Mo, was already considered a peak expert. However, such a cultivation base was far from enough in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion. Not to mention the third level of the God King realm, even the fourth or fifth level of the God King realm was far from enough. Who in the Qin Heaven Starfield had the ability to steal the precious treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor? I'm also very confused about this. However, since the clues point here, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion will definitely not give up. This time, not only did the Qin family send people, but the other aristocratic families also sent people over. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone's expression became even more serious. This matter was not simple at all. The crowd chatted for a while more before dispersing. As expected, a few days later, news after news spread in the Qin Heaven Star region. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor, people from all the major families had come. Not only had Kongxian sect been visited, but all the major forces in the Qin Heaven Starfield had also been visited. For example, the 3 Overlord forces, the Ice Soul clan, and the Scarlet Flame clan. The people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor were domineering. No matter which power they were from, they wanted to check their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness. The other powers were not like the Kongxian sect, who had the help of the Wu family. When faced with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor, all the other powers were helpless and could only obediently accept it. Their storage rings and Dantian Sea of Consciousness were checked. Even the Red Flame clan and the Ice Soul clan were no exception. But the result was that nothing was found. There was not a single clue about the 9 Absolute God Crystal. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor's people were furious. They gave the Qin Heaven Star Field 10 years. After 10 years, if they still didn't hand over the 9 Absolute Divine Crystals, they would send an army over and trample the Qin Heaven Star Field. For a time, the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield were in a state of panic, and everyone was in danger. Who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor? Why isn't he handing it over? Is he trying to kill everyone? Which goddamned bastard harmed the entire star field for his own selfish reasons? He's going to die a horrible death. Many people cursed. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a storm was brewing, but there was nothing. Not long after, another piece of news spread throughout the Qin Heaven Starfield. During this period of time, the paragons of the various major forces of the 9 absolute heavenly king manor had entered the Qin Heaven Starfield one after another. There were even geniuses who set up an arena on Myriad Spirit Planet to challenge the geniuses of the Qin Heaven Starfield. The result was naturally that the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses were crushed and didn't obtain a single victory. An ant is an ant, truly incompetent. What heaven's favorites? They're all trash. The 9 absolute heavenly king manor's paragon was incomparably powerful, depreciating the Qin Tian Starfield's paragon to be worthless. Some people were furious and went to challenge the geniuses of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. However, the result was already set in stone. No one would win. This made the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion even more arrogant. If the younger generation of the Qin Heaven Starfield can defeat us, we can extend the time limit to 100 years, 1,000 years, or even more. In the end, some of the geniuses from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion said. This moved the hearts of the experts from the various major factions of the Qin Heaven Starfield. If they could really extend their time, they might have a chance to find the thief and avoid being killed. At once, all the top talents from all the forces were on their way to Planet Thousand Spirits. The divine sons of the 3 overlord forces, as well as the top talents of the Ice Soul Clan and the Scarlet Flame Clan, all went to Planet Thousand Spirits. Of course, experts from all the major forces also secretly went to Planet Thousand Spirits. For a time, Myriad Spirit Star, the largest trading planet in the Qin Heaven Star system, became extremely lively. Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others had also arrived on planet Myriad Spirit. The arena set up by the paragons of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion is in the central square. Let's go and take a look, Lu Ming said. Not long after, they arrived at the central square. There was a huge empty space in the central square. In the middle of the empty space, there was a huge fighting ring. During this period of time, this area was filled with people. On one side of the fighting ring, there was a row of seats. A group of young men and women sat on the seats. These young men and women all had haughty expressions as they looked at the crowd in all directions with faint disdain in their eyes. They were all heaven's favorites from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. There are quite a lot of people here. Unfortunately, they're all trash. Not a single one of them is decent. A golden-robed young man's calm voice reverberated throughout the entire area. That's right, they're too useless. No matter what, this is still a starfield, and they're just a few cats and dogs. This is really disappointing. Another young man said in disdain. In the surroundings, when the people of the Qin Heaven Starfield heard this, they were all furious. Humph, the true geniuses of my Qin Heaven Starfield haven't arrived yet. Don't be arrogant. Someone couldn't help but ask. Oh? There were real geniuses? You didn't brag about it, did you? Ha ha ha. The golden-robed young man laughed with disdain. Who's bragging? I believe those heaven's favorites will be here soon. At that time, they might be able to fight with you. That person from the Qin Heaven Starfield said. Chapter 2927 Gathering of Divine Sons. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. You talk too much nonsense. If you have the ability, then let him out. The golden-robed youth shouted coldly. This brat, it's this brat. All of a sudden, a young man on the fighting ring roared and glared at Lu Ming. Yes, he was staring at Lu Ming. The young man had a scale between his brows. He was one of the 6 young men who had gone to the Kongxian sect with Qin Wushang. In fact, Lu Ming had seen this young man the moment he arrived. However, Lu Ming had no intention of avoiding him. He came here to find an opportunity to fight. Why would he need to avoid it? What? All of a sudden, the young men on the fighting ring turned to look at Lu Ming. This is the guy who defeated you? And you even humiliated Qin Wushang? The other young man coldly spoke, his gaze icy. This young man also had a silver-white scale on his forehead. Under the sunlight, it shimmered. It was obvious that this young man was also from the Qin clan. This person was called Qin Wuyo. That's right. It's him. This is the guy. The young man who had been to Kongxian sect roared. Good, very good. Qin Wuyo's indifferent voice rang out as a cold killing intent emanated from his body. Boom! He suddenly stood up from his seat, and a violent aura filled the air. Divine grade divine power. This is divine grade divine power. What a terrifying aura. Heavens, this is a divine sun-level character. Many people around the fighting ring shouted. Divine sun-level figures could be counted on one's fingers in the Qin heaven starfield. Each one of them was a peerless genius, an existence whose name shook the vast starry sky. Now, any one of the other party's people who stood up was such a figure. It was truly shocking. You dare to humiliate my Qin family's disciple. Although he's a piece of trash, it's not your place to humiliate him. Now, get up here and accept your death. Qin Wuyo's cold voice rang out as he looked at Lu Ming with an even colder gaze. Everyone's gaze was on Lu Ming. Who is this? Many people in the Qin Heaven Star Zone did not know Lu Ming. After all, the news of the battle in the galaxy for the Star Core had only spread within a small range. Most people did not know that Lu Ming had fought the divine son of the unique Devil Academy, Mo Jui, and even suppressed him. I know him. He's a saint of the Kongxian sect. I heard he's very talented. The saint of Kongxian sect? The gap between us is too big. He probably doesn't dare to accept the challenge, right? That's for sure. The other party is the Son of God. Wouldn't he be courting death if he went up? Many people around the fighting ring were discussing. Who are you? Lu Ming's expression was calm as he spoke indifferently. Qin Wuyo of the Qin family. Qin Wuyo asked. I'm sorry, you misunderstood me. I mean, who do you think you are? You want me to fight and I want to fight? Lu Ming smiled faintly. What did you just say? Qin Wuyo's face instantly darkened, and his killing intent became several times colder. Your ears aren't good either. Lu Ming said indifferently. In the surroundings, the hearts of many people from the Qin Heaven Star Zone were beating wildly. They were all impressed by Lu Ming's courage. Some people were still thinking that although Lu Ming did not dare to go up and fight, he was really bold to speak to the other party like that. You're looking for death. Qin Wuyo's voice became extremely cold. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed down like an angry lion, pouncing on his prey. 6th level heavenly deity. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. The moment the other party made his move, he had already seen through the other party's cultivation. A 6th level celestial deity with divine grade divine power. This person was likely to be on the same level as Mo Jui. His combat strength was far above Qin Wushang's. Lu Ming circulated the divine power in his body and was about to attack. If you want to fight, I'll fight you. All of a sudden, a voice was heard not far from Lu Ming and the others. Then, a burly figure burst out, and a scorching aura filled the air. Boom! The two figures met in midair and collided fiercely. It was like two meteors had collided, creating shockwaves that spread in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. Then, the two figures trembled and floated backward. It's him. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The one who had rushed out to exchange blows with Qin Wuyo was the boundless sacred land's divine son, Zhangyan Pejun. It's Zhangyan Pejun. He's making his move. The divine child-level character has arrived. Huh, this is going to be interesting. Lu Ming is so lucky. Otherwise, he would have been in danger just now. Many people were overjoyed to see Zhangyan Pejun attack. Zhangyan Pejun, as the peak figure of the younger generation in the Qin Heaven Starfield, his combat strength far exceeded the other geniuses. With him, they could finally fight against the geniuses of the 9 absolute heavenly king manner and not be suppressed so badly. Interesting. I didn't expect that the Qin Heaven Starfield would still have a decent opponent. Qin Wuyo glared at Zhangyan Pejun, revealing a strong battle intent. Cut the crap and make your move. I want to see how strong the paragon of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion is. Zhangyan Pejun shouted coldly as the heat from his body grew stronger and stronger. His battle intent was even stronger than his opponent. Thump. Zhangyan Pejun's figure moved and rushed up the fighting stage. His meaning was self-evident. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Wuyo said ferociously. With a flash of his body, he also rushed into the fighting ring. Boom! Without any unnecessary words, Zhangyan Pejun and Qin Wuyo started fighting. 7 Injury Divine Fist. Qin Wuyo's entire body glowed as he used the 7 Injury Divine Fist. 2 terrifying fist prints burst out and crushed towards Zhangyan Pejun. It was the same 7 Injury Divine Fist technique, but Qin Wuyo's was much more powerful than Qin Wushang's. Ashen Flame Explosive Fist. Grey Flame Breaking Army also used fist techniques, but his fist techniques were different. They were direct and overbearing, and each punch was like a star exploding with endless power. The two of them clashed head-on and fought intensely. The huge fighting ring was filled with their fist forces. In an instant, the two of them exchanged dozens of moves, but there was no clear winner. Boom! In the end, with a loud boom, the two of them retreated and stood on both sides of the fighting ring. Interesting. I didn't expect that there would be a decent opponent in the Qin Heaven Starfield. However, only one is far from enough. Are there any other decent experts? Come out together. In the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, the golden-robed young man stood up and said lazily, his eyes sweeping around. Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of a sword could be heard from not far away. Then, a ray of sword light appeared in the sky above the fighting ring. This young man was handsome. He was the divine son of the indestructible sword sect, the Boundless Sword Dao. As soon as Boundless Sword Dao appeared, a demonic light flashed from another direction. A black-robed young man appeared in the sky above the fighting stage. He was the divine son of the unique demon academy, Mo Jui. The divine sons of the 3 overlord forces had gathered. Interesting. Anything else? The gold-robed youth asked. Since you want to meet him, then let's meet him. At this time, a cold voice rang out. In the sky, a cold aura filled the air as a white-robed young man strolled over. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. 1000-year bet. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. With every step the white-robed young man took, a snow-white divine bird would appear under his feet, making him look like a celestial being. It's similar to Bing Qing. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It's the Ice Immortal, the 7th young master of the Ice Soul clan. He's the most powerful heaven's favorite, the Ice Immortal. Someone shouted. As expected. Lu Ming pondered. No wonder she looked similar to Bing Qing. Back then, Bing Qing had told him that in the ancient god world, there were 4 people who had cultivated the ancient god body, and his 7th brother was one of them. However, this name was really feminine. However, the temperament of the ice fairy was quite in line with this name. Boom! As soon as she came out, a hot aura came from the other side. Then, a burly young man walked over and appeared on the other side of her. Red Flame Demon Pine. Someone spoke out the person's name. This young man was a peerless heaven's favorite of the Red Flame race, who was as famous as the Ice Fairy. The appearance of the Ice Fairy and the Red Flame Demon Pine made the golden-robed young man's eyes slightly narrow. That was because the 2 of them gave him a lot of pressure. Interesting. I didn't expect that the Qin Heaven Starfield would actually give birth to so many interesting geniuses. The golden-robed young man said coldly. However, his expression finally became more cautious and did not reveal his lazy expression. Do your words from before still count? At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. What he was asking was naturally what the other party had said. As long as the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses could defeat them, they would give the Qin Heaven Starfield some time and extend the deadline for this matter. Of course it counts. As long as you can defeat us, we can give you 100 years. The golden-robed youth said. 100 years is too short. As long as we defeat you, you will have to leave the Qin Heaven Starfield forever and never commit this crime again. Lu Ming said. Withdraw forever? You're so arrogant. That's impossible. The golden-robed youth's face darkened as he coldly said. What's wrong? Are you guys not confident? Lu Ming sneered. What a joke. Although you have a few geniuses, you think you can defeat us with just a few of you? What a joke. The golden-robed youth laughed coldly. Then why wouldn't I dare to agree? Lu Ming retorted sarcastically. If you don't agree, it's a matter of principle. It doesn't mean that you have a chance of winning. It's absolutely impossible for you to withdraw forever, but I can report to the higher-ups and delay it for a while. After the young man in the golden robe finished speaking, he took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent a message. Then, he waited quietly. Not long after, the golden-robed young man received a reply. His expression changed and he said, if you can defeat us, we can give you 1,000 years at most. This is the longest limit. Of course, you have no chance. The golden-robed young man was still full of confidence. We'll only know if there's a chance after we fight. 1,000 years is 1,000 years, so be it. Let's fight. Lu Ming agreed immediately. Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, Azure Flame Army Breaker, Red Flame Demon Pine, Ice Fairy, and the rest of the strongest heaven's favorites did not say anything, which meant that they had silently agreed. Many people found it strange that Mo Jui and the rest did not stop Lu Ming from acting on his own accord. In front of these divine sons, did Lu Ming have the right? Of course, they did not know that Mo Jui and the others knew Lu Ming's strength. They had long treated Lu Ming as someone on the same level as them. As for the Ice Fairy, although the Red Flame Demonic Pine had never fought with Lu Ming, they were well informed and naturally knew about the fight between Lu Ming and Mo Jui. Therefore, they did not object to Lu Ming's decision. If he could fight for 1,000 years, it would be good enough. It was much better than 10 years. Wait a minute, now is not the time for a battle. The battle will be held in 3 months, right here. The gold-robed youth suddenly said. 3 months later? That's fine too. Lu Ming had an idea and nodded in agreement. He understood that the reason why the other party had delayed for 3 months was most likely because there were still heaven's favorites who had yet to arrive. However, how could he not need time? How should we fight in 3 months? What are the rules? Ice Immortal asked. It's very simple. We'll have an arena battle. Both sides will be the defending side. Whoever stands on the arena last will win. Of course, there must be a limit to the number of people on both sides. Otherwise, the competition will be endless. How about this? I'll give you all a chance. I'll send 9 people, and you can send 18. How about it? The golden-robed youth said. All right, it's decided then. Ice Fairy immediately agreed. He would be a bastard if he didn't take advantage of the situation. Although numbers didn't have much use in a battle between top heaven's favorites, this was an arena battle. Both sides were defending the arena and they used a will battle. If they had more people, they could still exhaust the other side's divine power. It was more or less useful. Then it's decided. 3 months later, well, fight here. Let me see what kind of combat power Yuqin Tian Starfield's younger generation has. Let's go. The golden-robed young man turned into a golden light and left the place. Humph, kid, someone blocked it for you today, but you won't get the chance every time. I hope you don't have to face me in the next arena battle. Qin Huai's cold gaze swept toward Lu Ming. Qin Wuyo, I'm afraid you've made a mistake. I promise that this kid won't dare to fight in the next arena battle. Another young man from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion sneered. There's no need to use such a low-level goading method. I'll definitely participate in the next arena battle. Lu Ming said indifferently. I hope so. Qin Wuyo left this sentence and also left the place. The people of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion also left. Let's discuss the candidates for the battle in 3 months. Ice Fairy looked at Red Flame Magic Pine, Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, Lu Ming, and Sangyan Army Destroyer. You can discuss the candidates. Just leave me a spot. Lu Ming left with Qiu Yu and the rest and turned to leave. Lu Ming, is he really going to fight? If it wasn't for the Ash-Gray Flame Army Destroyer, he would have already died. It's for the sake of face, right? Being provoked in front of so many people and not accepting the challenge, wouldn't that be a complete loss of face? That's true, but it's not wise to risk your life for the sake of face. The surrounding people were all discussing. Humph, these people have no idea how powerful young master is. After Qiu Yu heard that, she pouted unhappily. It's fine. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not mind. They left the place and found an inn to stay in. Lu Ming stayed in a guest room alone and sat cross-legged on the bed. Old Liang, it's been 200 years. How's your refinement of the Star Core's energy going? Lu Ming asked. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. 1,000-year bet. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. With every step the white-robed young man took, a snow-white divine bird would appear under his feet, making him look like a celestial being. It's similar to Bing Qing. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It's the Ice Immortal, the 7th young master of the Ice Soul clan. He's the most powerful heaven's favorite, the Ice Immortal. Someone shouted. As expected. Lu Ming pondered. No wonder she looked similar to Bing Qing. Back then, Bing Qing had told him that in the ancient god world, there were 4 people who had cultivated the ancient god body, and his 7th brother was one of them. However, this name was really feminine. However, the temperament of the Ice Fairy was quite in line with this name. Boom! As soon as she came out, a hot aura came from the other side. Then, a burly young man walked over and appeared on the other side of her. Red Flame Demon Pine. Someone spoke out the person's name. This young man was a peerless heaven's favorite of the Red Flame race, who was as famous as the Ice Fairy. The appearance of the Ice Fairy and the Red Flame Demon Pine made the golden-robed young man's eyes slightly narrow. That was because the two of them gave him a lot of pressure. Interesting. I didn't expect that the Qin Heaven Starfield would actually give birth to so many interesting geniuses. The golden-robed young man said coldly. However, his expression finally became more cautious and did not reveal his lazy expression. Do your words from before still count? At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. What he was asking was naturally what the other party had said. As long as the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses could defeat them, they would give the Qin Heaven Starfield some time and extend the deadline for this matter. Of course it counts. As long as you can defeat us, we can give you 100 years. The golden-robed youth said. 100 years is too short. As long as we defeat you, you will have to leave the Qin Heaven Starfield forever and never commit this crime again. Lu Ming said. Withdraw forever? You're so arrogant. That's impossible. The golden-robed youth's face darkened as he coldly said. What's wrong? Are you guys not confident? Lu Ming sneered. What a joke. Although you have a few geniuses, you think you can defeat us with just a few of you? What a joke. The golden-robed youth laughed coldly. Then why wouldn't I dare to agree? Lu Ming retorted sarcastically. If you don't agree, it's a matter of principle. It doesn't mean that you have a chance of winning. It's absolutely impossible for you to withdraw forever, but I can report to the higher-ups and delay it for a while. After the young man in the golden robe finished speaking, he took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent a message. Then, he waited quietly. Not long after, the golden-robed young man received a reply. His expression changed and he said, if you can defeat us, we can give you 1,000 years at most. This is the longest limit. Of course, you have no chance. The golden-robed young man was still full of confidence. We'll only know if there's a chance after we fight. 1,000 years is 1,000 years, so be it. Let's fight. Lu Ming agreed immediately. Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, Azure Flame Army Breaker, Red Flame Demon Pine, Ice Fairy, and the rest of the strongest heaven's favorites did not say anything, which meant that they had silently agreed. Many people found it strange that Mo Jui and the rest did not stop Lu Ming from acting on his own accord. In front of these divine sons, did Lu Ming have the right? Of course, they did not know that Mo Jui and the others knew Lu Ming's strength. They had long treated Lu Ming as someone on the same level as them. As for the Ice Fairy, although the Red Flame Demonic Pine had never fought with Lu Ming, they were well informed and naturally knew about the fight between Lu Ming and Mo Jui. Therefore, they did not object to Lu Ming's decision. If he could fight for 1,000 years, it would be good enough. It was much better than 10 years. Wait a minute, now is not the time for a battle. The battle will be held in 3 months, right here. The gold-robed youth suddenly said. 3 months later? That's fine too. Lu Ming had an idea and nodded in agreement. He understood that the reason why the other party had delayed for 3 months was most likely because there were still heaven's favorites who had yet to arrive. However, how could he not need time? How should we fight in 3 months? What are the rules? Ice Immortal asked. It's very simple. We'll have an arena battle. Both sides will be the defending side. Whoever stands on the arena last will win. Of course, there must be a limit to the number of people on both sides. Otherwise, the competition will be endless. How about this? I'll give you all a chance. I'll send 9 people, and you can send 18. How about it? The golden-robed youth said. All right, it's decided then. Ice Fairy immediately agreed. He would be a bastard if he didn't take advantage of the situation. Although numbers didn't have much use in a battle between top heaven's favorites, this was an arena battle. Both sides were defending the arena and they used a will battle. If they had more people, they could still exhaust the other side's divine power. It was more or less useful. Then it's decided. 3 months later, we'll fight here. Let me see what kind of combat power Yuqin Tian Starfield's younger generation has. Let's go. The golden-robed young man turned into a golden light and left the place. Humph, kid, someone blocked it for you today, but you won't get the chance every time. I hope you don't have to face me in the next arena battle. Qin Huai's cold gaze swept toward Lu Ming. Qin Wuyo, I'm afraid you've made a mistake. I promise that this kid won't dare to fight in the next arena battle. Another young man from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion sneered. There's no need to use such a low-level goading method. I'll definitely participate in the next arena battle. Lu Ming said indifferently. I hope so. Qin Wuyo left this sentence and also left the place. The people of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion also left. Let's discuss the candidates for the battle in 3 months. Ice Fairy looked at Red Flame Magic Pine, Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, Lu Ming, and Sangyan Army Destroyer. You can discuss the candidates. Just leave me a spot. Lu Ming left with Qiu Yu and the rest and turned to leave. Lu Ming, is he really going to fight? If it wasn't for the Ash Grey Flame Army Destroyer, he would have already died. It's for the sake of face, right? Being provoked in front of so many people and not accepting the challenge, wouldn't that be a complete loss of face? That's true, but it's not wise to risk your life for the sake of face. The surrounding people were all discussing. Humph, these people have no idea how powerful young master is. After Qiu Yu heard that, she pouted unhappily. It's fine. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not mind. They left the place and found an inn to stay in. Lu Ming stayed in a guest room alone and sat cross-legged on the bed. Old Liang, it's been 200 years. How's your refinement of the Star Core's energy going? Lu Ming asked. 3rd level Heavenly Deity. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Given his current cultivation, Lu Ming did not have the slightest confidence that he could participate in the arena battle this time. The paragons of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor were unfathomable, and no one knew how many powerful existences there were. This time, it was very likely that it was only a drop in the ocean. Lu Ming wanted to improve himself to his strongest state. Lu Ming needed to use the energy of the Star Core to break through to the next realm. In the past 200 years, Lu Ming did not use the energy from the Star Core. He had been absorbing energy to cultivate. Otherwise, his cultivation would not have improved so slowly. After 200 years, the quantity formula must have refined some of the energy, right? I did refine some, but not too much. It's all because your cultivation is too low, which greatly reduced the speed of my refining. The quantity formula complained. It should be enough for me to break through to the 2nd level celestial deity realm. Lu Ming muttered. Why was he the one to blame in the end? Your cultivation has already reached peak 1st level celestial deity. Charging to 2nd level celestial deity is naturally a matter of certainty. But you're currently in control of 10 types of divine power. Wanting to charge to 3rd level celestial deity is hard to say. The quantity formula said. It already has so much energy. Come on, give it a try. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If he could increase his realm, his confidence would increase. Then I'm ready. The voice of the measure formula was heard. Following that, the measure word in his sea of consciousness emitted a dazzling radiance. A pure and rich energy surged out wildly and rushed into Lu Ming's limbs and bones. Lu Ming circulated the universe Thousand Dao scripture at full force and began to absorb this energy to break through to the next realm. This energy was too strong. Lu Ming felt his entire body swelling up and being filled with violent energy. What a rich energy! Such a rich energy, but it's only a small part of the Star Core. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was happy. This energy was extremely pure. Although it was extremely rich, the speed at which it was absorbed was also very fast. Under the effect of the universal Tao scripture, the energy was quickly absorbed and transformed into Lu Ming's divine power. The 10 divine flames in his dantian grew brighter and brighter. Boom! There was a loud boom in Lu Ming's body and the 10 divine flames were strung together. In an instant, Lu Ming's aura increased by a large margin. Second-level celestial deity, breakthrough. After breaking through to the second-tier celestial god realm, Lu Ming did not stop. There was still a lot of energy left in his body. Lu Ming continued to refine this energy. His cultivation level was rapidly increasing. Second-level heavenly deity stable, early stage, middle stage. Very soon, Lu Ming charged to peak second-level celestial deity. He was not far from third-level celestial deity either. There was still some energy left in his body. However, it was still not enough to use it to charge for the third-level celestial deity realm. Let's do it in one go. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. With a wave of his hand, a huge pile of divine crystals appeared on the ground. These divine crystals were all mid-grade divine crystals, and the divine qi within them was several times denser than low-grade divine crystals. This was a rare opportunity. Lu Ming wanted to charge to the third-level celestial deity realm in one go. Bang! 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 A large pile of divine crystals exploded and turned into divine qi. Lu Ming opened his mouth and the divine qi surged into his mouth like a tidal wave, which he swallowed. Boom! 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 Lu Ming began to put all his effort into refining this divine qi. He was going to use this divine qi to complement the remaining energy from before and charge for the third-level celestial deity realm. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lu Ming had already accumulated a large amount of energy after refining the divine crystals. Begin. With a thought, he fused the energy from refining the divine crystal with the energy from before and started to charge towards the third-level celestial deity realm. 3 months had passed, and a large number of creatures had gathered in the central square of Planet Thousand Spirits. The Qin Heaven Star region had all sorts of races, and it was filled with people. This time, even many top experts from the major forces had arrived. For example, the elders of the major forces were all observing in secret. After all, this battle wasn't just a battle between the younger generation. It also concerned the safety of the Qin Heaven Star region. The 9 absolute heavenly king mansions people are here. Someone suddenly shouted. In the distance, many beams of light flew over. There were dozens of them. Among them, there were more than a dozen older people, and they all seemed to be powerhouses with shocking strength. The rest were all young people. These people stood in the air above the fighting ring and looked around arrogantly. Compared to the number of people around the square, their numbers were pitifully small. However, their aura had suppressed the Qin Heaven Starfield side. Qin Heaven Starfield, where are the people you want to send out? Come out. It was still the same golden-robed young man from last time. He stepped forward and his voice spread throughout the entire area. Ice Immortal stepped out and appeared in the air. Then, Red Flame Magic Pine, Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and the others all stepped out. There were a total of 17 people. Almost all of them were from the Red Flame clan, the Ice Soul clan, and the 3 Overlord forces. Only 17 people. You guys seem to be missing one person. Where's that arrogant kid from last time? Why didn't he come? The golden-robed youth's gaze swept across the crowd as he laughed. Ice Immortal and the others looked at each other, and their eyes darkened. They were indeed short of one person. That was because Lu Ming had not arrived. It's Lu Ming. Lu Ming is not here. What about Lu Ming? Could it be that he doesn't dare to come at such a critical moment? He definitely doesn't dare to come. He has offended the paragon of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. How would he dare to come? Hell die if he comes. I knew it. He's just being stubborn and doesn't dare to fight. The people from the Qin Heaven Star Zone mumbled. Most of them felt that Lu Ming would not dare to come. Hee, that kid only knows how to rely on his mouth. He's a coward. Qin Wuyo sneered. Who said that the young master doesn't dare to come? At this time, a delicate shout came from the distance. Then, a few figures walked over. They were Lu Ming, Qiu Yu, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others. It was Qiu Yu who had just spoken. A faint smile hung on Lu Ming's face. Not long ago, he had finally charged to the 3rd-level celestial deity in one go. It was also because he was charging to the 3rd-level celestial deity that he had arrived a little later. He really dared to come? Many people's gazes flickered, as if they had not expected this. Very good. Qin Yu's eyes flashed with a ferocious light. He licked his lips and didn't even try to hide his cold killing intent. You guys wait for me here, let's go, Lu Ming said to Qiu Yu and the rest. He stepped forward and came to the side of the ice deity and the rest. On the side of the Qin Heaven Starfield, all 18 people had arrived. Where are your 9 people? Who are the 9 people? Ice Immortal asked. Bang! Bang! As soon as Ice Immortal finished speaking, a young man stepped out from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. Including the golden-robed young man and Qin Wushang, there were 9 people in total. 9 people, 7 men and 2 women. Ice Immortal and the others looked at the 9 people with a serious expression. Because they couldn't see through some of them at all. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2931 Difference. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Everyone's here, let us guard the ring first. The golden-robed young man then nodded to a young man with a single horn on his head. The young man nodded and moved, landing on the fighting ring. 9 absolute heavenly king mansion Su Hua, who wants to fight? The young man with a horn on his head shouted. He swept his gaze across Lu Ming and the rest, and a powerful aura burst out from his body. 6th-level celestial deity. The horned young man, Su Hua, was a 6th-level heavenly deity. Judging from his aura, the divine power he controlled should be divine-grade divine power. I'll fight you. A cold voice was heard. Then, a sword light flashed, and a young man with a long sword on his back appeared on the fighting ring. This young man was from the Eternal Sword Sect. Zhuiyue, from the Inextinguishable Sword Sect. The youth with the long sword on his back said. A ray of sword light shot into the sky. In terms of aura, he did not lose to Su Hua at all. He was also a 6th-level heavenly deity. This outstanding was no less famous than Zhuobuju in the Immortal Sword Sect. He was also a heaven's favorite second only to the sword Dao Wuji. It looks like you are a sword cultivator. Interesting. Make your move. Let me see what kind of combat power a sword cultivator from the Qin Heaven Starfield has. Su Hua licked his lips and his eyes lit up. I'll fulfill your wish. Zhuiyue snorted coldly. The moment he finished speaking, the combat sword on his back was unsheathed at an astonishing speed. Many people did not see how he had unsheathed his combat sword. They only saw a sword light, like a flying immortal from beyond the heavens, tear through the air and kill Su Hua. However, Su Hua was not slow at all. Buzz! In his hand, a dazzling white blade light bloomed and slashed forward. Clang! 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 In the next moment, the two of them clashed. Sword light and saber light kept clashing in the air. In a breath's time, the two of them had exchanged at least a few hundred moves. The next moment, the two figures separated at the same time and floated back. Who won? Everyone quickly observed carefully. On the surface, the two of them were both 6th-level heavenly deities, and the divine power they controlled was also divine-grade divine power. There shouldn't be much of a difference in their strength. At this moment, pft! Zuyu's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Buzz! He used his sword to support his body and barely managed to keep himself from falling. Zhuyu lost? How is that possible? Many people were shocked. Upon a closer look, they realized that there was a deep knife wound on Zhu유's chest, almost cutting him in half. The terrifying force of the blade continued to drill into Zhu유's body, forcing him to use all his divine power to resist. On the other hand, Su Huo was calm and composed. His breathing was steady, and he was completely fine. You're not bad to be able to survive one of my attacks. However, as a sword cultivator, I'm really disappointed that you only have this little attack power. Su Huo said indifferently. His tone was filled with disdain. Pfft! Zhuyu spat out another mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with confusion. As a sword cultivator, he was originally known for his strong attack power. However, in the collision just now, he was completely at a disadvantage and was no match for his opponent. One had to know that they were of the same level. The divine power that Su Huo controlled was only divine-grade divine power and not divine-grade divine power. This was something that he found difficult to accept. This Su Huo's control of divine power is too strong. Whether it's his divine skills or secret arts, they're all shockingly powerful. Ice Immortal said with a serious expression. As expected of a heaven's favorite from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. His use of divine power is really amazing. Mo Jui spoke as well, his expression extremely solemn. Even though the strength of Shen power was the same, the difference in the use of it would result in a world of difference in power. For example, if an ordinary person had the same strength of 50 kilograms, he would only use brute force to attack randomly. However, a martial arts expert could accurately use this 50 kilograms of strength and explode with several times the power. Naturally, there was a huge difference in combat power. Therefore, Zhuyu, who seemed to have the same cultivation level as Su Huo, was easily defeated. Seeing that you're able to take one of my attacks without dying, I won't kill you. Get lost. Su Huo waved his hand and said. Junior brother Tai, you may leave. Sword Dao Wuji said, and Zhuyu retreated helplessly. Who else, come up and fight. Su Huo said loudly. I'll do it. A young man stepped out from the Unique Demon Academy and landed on the battle stage. This young man was also a peerless genius. Whether it was his divine power level or cultivation, he was in existence on the same level as an outstanding person. Unfortunately, this person was no match for Su Huo. After exchanging dozens of moves, he was severely injured by Su Huo in one move. He fled from the fighting ring in a panic with a pale face. 2 consecutive defeats. This caused the hearts of everyone in the Qin Heaven Starfield to sink. The other party had only sent out a 6th-level heavenly deity Saint Child character. The Qin Heaven Star region had sent out a character of the same level, but it was a one-sided situation. How could they fight like this? Could it be that they had to send out a divine sun-level figure at this time? This way, the situation would be too passive. Right now, we can't attack. Otherwise, we'll be too passive. Continue to send people up and exhaust his divine power. He's using his ultimate moves continuously, so his divine power will definitely be consumed very quickly. Ice Immortal and the others discussed in secret and finally decided to send more masters. Next, the Boundless Holy Land sent a genius to fight Su Huo. This time, the Qin Heaven Starfield had sent 18 people. Their combat strength was at least at the outstanding level. The three overlord forces, the Ice Soul clan, and the Scarlet Flame clan could be said to have sent out all their talents. This time, the boundless Sacred Lands prodigy didn't go head-to-head with his opponent. Instead, he engaged in a dogfight to exhaust his opponent's divine power. After close to 100 moves, the boundless Sacred Lands genius was finally defeated and sent off the stage. 3 consecutive defeats. The other party had only sent out one Heaven's favorite and had defeated 3 of their Heaven's favorites in a row. If the Heaven's favorites sent out later were all unrivaled existences of the same level, how could they compete? I'll do it. At this moment, a genius from the Ice Soul clan stepped onto the fighting ring. The Ice Soul clan's paragon froze the entire fighting ring as soon as he made his move. Even the space seemed to be frozen. What Su Hua used was a swift blade. His attack was fast, and so was his body. He was restrained by the Ice Soul clan's paragon, so his attack speed was greatly reduced. Moreover, he had fought 3 battles in a row, and his divine power had been greatly consumed. For a moment, he was actually at a disadvantage. There's a chance. This caused the eyes of many people in the Qin Heaven starfield to light up, feeling that there was hope of winning. After the Ice Soul clan's paragon took control of the situation, he launched a storm of attacks, forcing Su Hua to retreat. Pfft! An ice sword slashed across Su Hua's shoulder, causing blood to spurt out. Ice Sword Divine Domain, defeat me. The paragon of the Ice Soul clan used his ultimate move. He condensed hundreds of ice swords, which sealed off the surroundings and flew toward Su Hua. Su Hua quickly struck out with his saber and destroyed the ice swords. However, there were too many ice swords and he couldn't block all of them. Pfft! Finally, an ice sword pierced through Su Hua's stomach and brought him out of the fighting ring. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Not worthy of me taking action. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. You too, die. Su Hua roared as he was about to fly out of the fighting ring. The horn between his brows glowed and flew out. It turned into a saber and slashed at the Ice Soul clan's paragon. Ah! The Ice Soul clan's paragon let out a blood-curdling screech as he was struck. He was forced to retreat and fell off the fighting ring with Su Hua. After Su Hua fell off the fighting ring, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. He quickly took out a healing divine pill and consumed it to heal his injuries. The Ice Soul clan's prodigy was even more severely injured and almost died. An Ice Soul clan overlord quickly saved his life. In this battle, both sides suffered losses. A Heaven's favorite from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion had defeated the 4 of them. After this battle, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion sent out another Heaven's favorite. His strength was not weaker than Su Hua's. On the Qin Heaven Starfield side, they had learned their lesson this time. They had more people and used a method of attrition. At the start, they didn't seek to win but rather to exhaust the other party's divine power. Just like this, after the Qin Heaven Starfield side lost 2 people in a row, the third person and the other party both suffered heavy injuries. This way, there were only 7 people left from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. While the Qin Heaven Starfield had expended 7 people, leaving only 11 people. The difference in numbers between the 2 sides was rapidly closing. The situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous to the Qin Heaven Star region. Next, I'll do it. A cold voice rang out. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, Qin Wuyo stepped onto the battle platform. They've mobilized a Divine Sun-level character. Everyone's eyes focused. Qin Wuyo landed on the fighting ring and his gaze landed on Lu Ming. "Brat, get down here and fight me!" Qin Wuyo shouted coldly. He didn't even try to hide his cold killing intent. "You're not qualified for me to make a move," Lu Ming said calmly. He had no intention of making a move. There were definitely stronger heaven's favorites in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. It was not a good time for him to make a move. He couldn't reveal his strength too early. He could only take action at the critical moment to settle the situation. This battle concerned the safety of the Qin Heaven Star Zone. Naturally, Lu Ming would not act on impulse. However, the others did not know what Lu Ming was thinking. They thought that Lu Ming was afraid. "I'm not qualified for you to make a move." "Ha ha ha, I really don't know if you're arrogant or ignorant." Qin Wuyo laughed, his eyes extremely cold. He was an existence who could control divine-grade divine power. Lu Ming actually said that he was not qualified for Lu Ming to make a move. It was simply laughable. "I'm just telling the truth," Lu Ming said indifferently. He's really shameless. Now, the people from the Qin Heaven Star Zone were naturally on Lu Ming's side. However, at this moment, they could not help but sigh. Lu Ming was really shameless. He obviously didn't dare to make a move, but he said that the other party wasn't qualified for him to make a move. In the past, the other party was a figure who had fought with Grey Flame Army Destroyer. Was such a person not enough for Lu Ming to fight? He was too full of himself. Of course, that was what everyone thought. At this time, they would not help Qin Wuyo to force Lu Ming. In order to survive, you really can say anything. Qin Wuyo was furious, but Lu Ming refused to do anything. He had no choice but to look at the others and roared, "Who wants to fight me? Who should we send?" Ice Fairy, Red Flame Demonic Pine, Mo Jui, and the others began to discuss. "This Qin Wuyo is very strong. I don't have the confidence to fight him." Sangyin Pajuan frowned. Of course, they had discussed this through telepathy. "I think we can't waste our advantage in numbers. Let them waste this person's divine power first, then we'll attack and take him down," the elder said. Mo Jui said. Now, they still had 11 people. Other than the 6 of them, Ice Fairy, Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine, Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, Ashen Flame Army Breaker, and Lu Ming, the other 5 were all 6th-level celestial deity holy sons. He was definitely no match for a heaven's favorite like Qin Wuyo, but he could exhaust his divine power. The Ice Soul clan is the best in terms of fighting and consuming the opponent's divine power. Scarlet Flame Demon Pine laughed indifferently. Ice Immortal's face darkened slightly. The Red Flame Demon Pine was obviously up to no good. It was extremely dangerous to let someone exhaust Qin Wuyo's divine power now. One careless mistake and there was a risk of death. That's right. I think so too. No one is more suitable than the Ice Soul clan to consume divine power. Mo Jui chimed in. Several people spoke in succession, and Ice Immortal was also helpless. Ice Lake, it's your turn. Remember, be careful and only fight with your opponent. If the situation doesn't look good, charge down the fighting stage and admit defeat. The Ice Immortal looked at a young man from the Ice Soul clan. All right. Bing Hu nodded and leaped onto the fighting stage, standing far away from Qin Wuyo. You actually sent such a piece of trash to fight me? What? Are you trying to exhaust my divine power first? Hee, what a joke. Qin Wuyo sneered as he saw through the thoughts of the Ice Immortal and the others. 10,000 miles of ice, Ice Sword. Bing Hu took the lead and slammed his palm on the fighting ring. Endless coldness emerged and froze the entire fighting ring. Sharp ice swords were stuck in the fighting ring. Whoosh! 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 Then, countless ice swords formed and flew toward Qin Wuyo. Small tricks, break for me, die. Qin Wuyo shouted coldly as his body exploded with dazzling light. His terrifying divine power formed a wave of divine power that rushed out. Bang! 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 The ice sword that was charging at him, as well as the surrounding ice, exploded in an instant. 7 Injury Divine Fist. Qin Wuyo stepped forward and threw a punch at the frozen lake. Boom! 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 Wherever the fist force passed, all the ice shattered, turning into fragments that flew everywhere. The fist force didn't stop and continued to press down on the ice lake. Ice sword slash, ice sword! Bing Hu shouted as he clenched his fists in the air. Endless cold intent gathered and formed a huge ice sword, slashing down at Qin Wuyo's fist force. Boom! The ice sword collided with the fist force, causing a violent vibration. But in the next moment, Bing Hu's body trembled. The ice sword in his hand exploded, and his body was sent flying back. He coughed up blood in mid-air. The two of them were both at the 6th level heavenly god realm, but one of them controlled the divine grade divine power while the other controlled the divine grade divine power. The difference in their combat strength was truly shocking. Ice Lake was completely outmatched. They were completely crushed. Kill, die! Qin Wuyo shouted coldly. His body turned into a stream of light as he charged towards the frozen lake. Not good, Ice Lake, quickly retreat, get off the fighting stage. Ice Immortal's expression changed drastically as she quickly sent a message to Bing Hu. And NBSP, what? Bing Hu was shocked as well. And NBSP, he used all his divine power to retreat and rush off the stage. However, he had just been sent flying, and his body was no longer as agile. It was too late to retreat. Kill, die! Qin Wuyo shouted as he threw out his fists. A terrifying fist force broke out of his body and headed toward the frozen lake. In the blink of an eye, the fist force was in front of Bing Hu. In such a situation, Ice Lake could only defend with all its might. In front of him, he had set up a shield made of 9 layers of ice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2931 Sword Dao Confrontation. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. However, Ice Lake's many layers of defense couldn't change his fate. Boom! Boom! When Qin Wuyo's 7 Injuries fist force came crashing down, the 9 layers of ice shields were shattered one after another. Bang! The fist force hit Bing Hu's body, causing him to scream in pain. His body fell heavily on the fighting stage. Many of his bones were broken, and his body was like a pool of mud, lying on the ground with blood flowing out. However, he was not dead yet. However, Qin Wuyo didn't stop. He looked down from above and formed a long spear in his hand, throwing it at the frozen lake. Pfft! The long spear pierced through Bing Hu's forehead. This time, Bing Hu had completely fallen. Damn it! The ice deity roared in anger and glared at Qin Wuyo. He was already defeated just now. Why did you still want to kill him? In my hands, defeat means death. Qin Wuyo said coldly. You! Ice Immortal was furious. What a good defeat means death. I'll slaughter you. Sangyan Pajuan roared and rushed up the fighting stage, his body emitting a hot aura. You should have attacked long ago. You called a piece of trash to come up and die. Do you really think you can consume my divine power? You're really delusional. Qin Wuyo sneered. Kill! Sangyan Pajuan roared in anger. His body was covered in flames as he charged towards Qin Wuyo. 7 Injury Divine Fist. Qin Wuyo used the 7 Divine Injury Fist to fight with the Ash Grey Flame Army Destroyer. The two of them had fought last time, but there was no clear winner. This time, the battle was even more intense. Boom! Boom! Both of their attacks were domineering. They met force with force, and their fist forces constantly collided. In an instant, they had punched each other hundreds of times. King Kong of Fury. Suddenly, Zhang Yanpejuan shouted and the flames on his body became even more intense. The endless flames condensed into a giant that was 100 meters tall. This one was huge and held a flaming mace in his hand. Raging Vajra. Zhang Yanpejuan actually managed to cultivate the Raging Vajra. Zhang Yanpejuan's talent is truly amazing. He has even successfully cultivated such a secret skill. His combat strength is no weaker than Mo Jui and Boundless Sword Dao. Many people exclaimed. In the past, when Mo Jui and Boundless Sword Dao had cultivated an ancient god body, many people thought that Zhang Yanpejuan's strength would be surpassed. However, now that they had seen Zhang Yanpejuan cultivate the Raging King Kong, they knew that he was not weak at all. Kill, die! Zhang Yanpejuan roared in anger. The King Kong of Wrath waved his mace and smashed it towards Qin Wuyo. Qin Wuyo's eyes turned serious as he faced the Raging Vajra. Pfft! Qin Wuyo's face suddenly turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood gathered on his fists, making his fist force even more powerful. The more injured he was, the more powerful the 7-injury divine fist was. Boom! Boom! Qin Wuyo wasn't afraid at all. He rushed toward the King of Wrath and continuously struck out with the 7 divine injures fist, engaging in an intense battle with the Grey Flame Army Destroyer. The battle between the two had entered a state of white heat, and they both used their ultimate moves. Boom! The King Kong of Fury had astonishing power and the temperature of its flames was even more terrifying. During the confrontation, it actually suppressed Qin Wuyo and gained a slight upper hand. Zhang Yanpejuan is going to win. The people of the Qin Heaven Starfield were overjoyed. In the battle between the Divine Sons, they were finally not as passive as the Holy Sons, who could not withstand a single blow. This secret technique is somewhat similar to the Divine Dragon materialization art. Lu Ming pondered. He felt that Zhang Yanpejuan's King Kong of Fury was similar to the Divine Dragon materialization technique. However, he wasn't that optimistic. He was certain that Zhang Yanpejuan would win. Sure enough, from the start, the ashen flames of destruction had the upper hand. He suppressed Qin Wushang and even injured him. However, after Qin Wushang was injured, the power of the 7 divine injures fist became stronger. Gradually, it was even with the fire of destruction. One had to admit that a secret skill like the 7 divine injuries fist was truly abnormal. The more injured he was, the more powerful he would be. This was extremely advantageous in battle. For example, when others were injured in a great battle, their strength would become weaker and weaker, but you would become stronger and stronger. How terrifying was that? So, from the start, Zhang Yanpejuan had the upper hand, but later on, the two of them ended up in a draw. However, it would also be very difficult for Qin Wuyo to defeat Zhang Yanpejuan. Kill, kill, kill. Zhang Yan Army Destroyer's battle-intent sword. His 3-meter-tall body was filled with shocking flames, and the space was distorted by the heat. His body was covered in a layer of armor with runes flowing on it. He looked like an invincible god of fire. The two of them exchanged another 100 moves. Boom! In the end, Qin Wuyo's 7 injuries fist landed on the body of Zhang Yanpejuan, sending him flying. However, the Raging King Kong controlled the huge wolf-tooth club and smashed it onto Qin Wuyo's body. Pfft! Qin Wuyo coughed up a mouthful of blood. His body was sent flying out of the fighting ring like a cannonball. Qin Wuyo and Zhang Yanpejuan flew out of the fighting ring almost at the same time. Then, they took out healing divine pills at the same time and started to heal their injuries. This battle was still undecided, and it ended with both sides suffering. With that, the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor still had 6 people, while the Qin Heaven Starfield only had 9 people left. Buzz! The sound of a sword rang out. In the direction of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, a sword light flashed, and a black-robed young man landed on the battle stage. This black-clothed young man carried a long sword on his back. His body was straight, like a divine sword. Boom! The divine power in his body erupted like a volcano, and a beam of sword chi shot into the sky. What a terrifying sword intent! Many people were shocked and they sensed the terrifying sword intent. Even Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and the others were shocked. This person was also at the divine sun level. He controlled divine-grade divine power and his cultivation was at the 6th level of the heavenly deity realm. Moreover, he was a terrifying sword cultivator. Absolute Sword. You're also a sword cultivator. Come down and fight. Let me see what kind of strength the Qin Heaven Star Region's Absolute Sword Cultivator has. The eyes of the Sword of Extinction looked at the Sword Way of Infinity, and his eyes were like a divine sword. Just what I wanted. His swordsmanship was boundless, and he also revealed a strong fighting will. He took a step forward and appeared on the fighting ring. His body also burst out with a shocking sword will. Boom! Before the two of them had even started fighting, their sword intents were already clashing in the void, triggering streams of sword chi that spread in all directions. Bang! Bang! Their eyes met, and 2 tiny sword chi shot out from their eyes, clashing in the air. Buzz! Buzz! Then, the sound of 2 swords resounded through the sky. The two of them drew their swords at the same time. The sword light was as bright as the stars, so bright that some people couldn't even open their eyes. Clang! Clang! In midair, the sound of intense clashes could be heard. The crowd could no longer see the 2 figures. They could only see 2 sword lights clashing and crisscrossing on the fighting ring. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2932 Power of the Extinctive Sword. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. The 2 sword lights appeared on the right side of the fighting ring and then on the left side, constantly changing. Every time they collided, endless sword chi would burst out in all directions, forming a terrible storm of sword chi. Fortunately, they were on the fighting stage, which was surrounded by a powerful formation. The formation appeared and blocked all the sword chi storms. Otherwise, it would have caused a terrible disaster. The two of them fought for a while before suddenly stopping and the 2 figures flew back. 2 figures, one in black and one in white, stood on both sides of the fighting ring with long swords in their hands. However, it could be seen that Sword Dao Wu Ji's breathing was a little hurried, while the extinctive sword's breathing was calm. Could it be that Sword Dao Wuji is about to lose? Many people's hearts sank. The power of the sword way of the Sword of Fatality was indeed shocking. The sword was fast and decisive, like a graceful swan. In the confrontation just now, he had a slight advantage. Is this all you've got in the way of the sword? That's too disappointing. Next, it's time to decide the winner. Myriad Sword Domain, God-slaying sword, you're courting death. An indifferent voice came out of the Sword of Fatality's mouth. Then, he waved his hand, and the combat sword in his hand floated above his head, vibrating slightly. And NBSP Wang Wang Wang. Waves of strange field energy spread out from the Sword of Fatality, and countless sword shadows suddenly appeared around his body. It really did look like countless swords. In any case, it was impossible to tell how many sword shadows there were at a glance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Countless sword shadows stabbed toward Sword Dao Wuji. Break, die! Sword Dao Wuji shouted. Sword light bloomed from his hand and slashed at the sword shadows. However, the moment he touched it, his expression changed. The power of the sword shadows was extremely terrifying. Each sword shadow seemed to be the full power strike of the absolute sword. The power of so many sword shadows added up was really amazing. As soon as they touched, the sword light of Sword Dao Wuji was shattered. His body trembled and he retreated quickly, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Several wounds appeared on his body, and blood flowed out. What a terrifying secret skill! The combat strength of this extinctive sword is amazing. At this moment, Ice Fairy, Red Flame Demonic Pine, and Mo Jui all exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The combat strength of this extinctive sword was indeed terrifying. It was much stronger than Qin Huai's. Hehe, Absolute Sword's talent is very outstanding even in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. There are not many who can match him in a battle of the same level. In the Qin Heaven Star region, don't even think about winning against him in a battle of the same level. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, a young man sneered. Lose. The Absolute Sword's cold voice rang out. He continued to control the sword shadow and attacked the Absolute Sword. Ancient God Body, die. Sword Dao Wuji roared. His body grew rapidly, turning into an orange-armored ancient god that was 100 meters tall. The sword in his hand also grew rapidly, and he swept out a sword light as large as a mountain. Bang! Bang! A series of clashing sounds rang out. After the infinite sword Wei had turned into an ancient god body, its strength had increased greatly, and it finally jumped away from many sword shadows. This is Ancient God Body? In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, a young man exclaimed in surprise, looking very surprised. I didn't expect that someone in the tiny Qin Heaven Starfield would actually cultivate an Ancient God Body. What a surprise! In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, an old man stroked his beard and nodded in surprise. I'm surprised, but he's only an orange-armored ancient god body. He's still no match for the Sword of Fatality. The golden-robed young man said coldly. They seemed to have a good understanding of the ancient god body. They did not hide anything in their conversation. Lu Ming and the rest heard everything. Could it be that there's someone in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion who has also cultivated the ancient god body? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he could not help but guess. The ancient gods were said to be powerful existences born naturally at the beginning of the universe. At that time, there were quite a number of ancient gods. Since they could leave behind descendants and inheritances in the Qin Heaven Star system, it was extremely possible that there were other ancient gods who had left behind descendants and inheritances in other places. Lose. Wuji's sword Dao turned into an ancient god. He waved his long sword and attacked the Sword of Fatality. And NBSP, a mere orange-armored ancient god, wants to defeat me? Naive. The Sword of Fatality only showed a trace of surprise at the beginning, but it quickly regained its calm. With a wave of its hands, endless sword shadows whistled toward the Sword Dao Wuji. The endless sword shadows gathered into a long river and rushed toward Sword Dao Wuji. Wuji Kendo was 100 meters tall. When he wielded his giant sword, he was like a stone pillar in the river, resisting the impact of the river water. However, no matter how tough the stone pillar was, it would eventually be washed down under the constant impact of the river water. It was just like the boundless sword Dao. At first, he could still resist and even charge forward, but his charging speed became slower and slower. A moment later, not only could he not move forward, he was even retreating. Buzz. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Countless sword shadows slashed on Sword Dao Wuxia's body and the orange scales on his body, making clanking sounds and sending sparks in all directions. In the end, the scales on Sword Dao Wuxia's body cracked open, and sword marks appeared, causing blood to flow. He could no longer defend himself, and the wounds on his body were getting bigger and bigger. Bang! In the end, Wuxia's body shrank rapidly. He could no longer maintain his ancient god body and returned to his normal form. He flew out of the fighting ring and fell heavily off it. Wuxia, how are you? Immediately, experts from the Eternal Sword sect went up to help heal Wuxia's Sword Dao. On the fighting ring, the Sword of Extinction waved his hand and the sword shadows that filled the sky disappeared without a trace. He stood on the fighting ring calmly and looked around. Who is it? Let's fight again. His gaze swept across the red flame demon pine, ice fairy, and Mo. In his opinion, only these three people from the Qin Heaven Starfield could fight him. I'll do it. I'll try my best to consume his god power. If I can't defeat him, you guys go. Mo said to the red flame magic pine and ice fairy. The red flame demon pine and ice fairy were both stronger than him, so it was not the time to fight yet. With that, Mo rushed up the fighting ring. 6th level celestial deity, just by relying on your cultivation, you're similarly not my match. The Sword of Fatality spoke indifferently. There was no arrogance in his voice, as if he was speaking the truth. Don't be too full of yourself, we'll only know after the battle. Mo said coldly and stepped forward. Bang! Bang! After taking a few steps, Mo's body rapidly expanded, turning into an orange-armored ancient god that was 100 meters tall. Mo used his full strength the moment he attacked. It's the ancient god body again. I didn't expect that there would be more than one person in the Qin Heaven Starfield who has cultivated the ancient god body. Someone from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion was shocked. It seems that an ancient god world has appeared in the Qin Heaven Star region. With the appearance of the ancient god's inheritance, there will be a situation where many people have cultivated the ancient god body. In a remote star region, it is considered rare to have such an opportunity. An old man from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion said. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2934 Small Victory. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. On the fighting ring, Mo and the invincible sword were already engaged in a fierce battle. Mo's combat strength was similar to that of boundless Sword Dao. In fact, in terms of offensive power, he was even weaker than boundless Sword Dao. However, Mo's methods were more bizarre, allowing him to last longer. However, he was still no match for the Sword of Extinction. Under the sword shadow of the Sword of Extinction, he used all kinds of strange means to hold on for a moment longer than the boundless Sword Dao, but he was still seriously injured and was struck off the fighting ring. Good, the Absolute Sword is indeed a peerless genius. His combat strength is indeed powerful. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manner, some young men laughed and looked at the people from the Qin Tian Starfield with mocking expressions. On the side of the Qin Heaven Starfield, it was completely silent. There were countless people around the square, but no one spoke. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. The opponent was a 6th-level heavenly deity at the Divine Sun level. He had defeated 2 of their peers, Mo and Sword Dao Wuxia, in a row. This had dealt a heavy blow to the people of the Qin Heaven Star region. Up until now, the other party still had 6 people, while the Qin Heaven Starfield had 7 people left. In everyone's eyes, among the remaining 7 people, only the Red Flame Demon Pine and Ice Fairy had the real strength to fight with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion's Heaven's Pride. As for the others, they probably wouldn't be able to withstand a single move from a heaven's favorite like the Sword of Fatality. On the other hand, there were still 6 people on the other side. Each of them looked unfathomable, and it was unknown how strong they were. How was he going to fight this battle? Don't tell me we've lost for sure. Only 10 years left? Many people were in despair. More people could only remain silent and hope for a miracle. Who's up, you two? After defeating 2 people in a row, the Sword of Fatality was full of fighting spirit. His eyes were fixed on the red flame demon Pine and Ice Immortal. As for the others, he didn't care about them. The red flame magic Pine and Ice Fairy looked at each other. They saw that Lu Ming had no intention of going on stage, so they could only go first. "I'll do it." The red flame magic Pine roared and rushed up the fighting ring. "You've used up a lot of Shen power. I didn't want to take advantage of you, but this competition is a tag team battle, so don't say that I won without honor." Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine said in a deep voice. As he spoke, he took a few steps towards the invincible sword. With each step, his aura grew stronger. Boom! Blazing flames burst out of his body. These flames were extremely viscous, as if they were magma. 7th level Celestial Deity. Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's cultivation is 7th level Celestial Deity. Someone exclaimed. Following that, many people from the Qin Heaven Starfield were overjoyed. The Scarlet Flame Demon Pine's cultivation actually already reached 7th level Celestial Deity. There was hope with this. 7th level Heavenly Deity? It's more interesting this way. Come on. The Sword of Fatality showed no fear. Sword shadows kept appearing around him. Myriad Sword Domain, God slaying myriad swords, kill, die. The Sword of Fatality shouted coldly. He pressed forward with both hands, and endless sword shadows rushed toward the red flame demonic pine. Roar! The Scarlet Flame Demon let out a roar, and then its body swelled up rapidly, turning into an ancient god. The ancient god that the red flame magic pine had turned into was also an orange-armored ancient god that was 100 meters tall. Back then, Bing Qing had told Lu Ming that there were a total of 4 geniuses in the Qin Heaven Galaxy who had cultivated the ancient god body. They were Sword Dao Wu Ji, Mo Jui, Red Flame Mo Song, and Ice Immortal. The Scarlet Flame Demon transformed into an ancient god body as soon as it made its move. At the same time, the surface of its ancient god body was covered with scorching flames. And NBSP he had fused his talent's secret skill with his ancient god body, making him even more powerful. Falling Star. The red flame demonic pine roared and punched out with both fists. His fists seemed to have turned into magma, and the magma turned into 2 huge meteorites, filled with raging flames, and blasted toward the Sword of Fatality. The temperature in the fighting ring rose sharply. Ancient god body again. Defeat. Die. The Sword of Fatality shouted, and thousands of sword shadows converged into a long river, rushing toward the red flame demonic pine. Boom! Boom! The attacks of both sides collided, causing a series of explosions. At the beginning, the 2 of them fought intensely, and it was difficult to determine the winner. However, after a while, the fist power of the red flame demon pine skyrocketed. The magma fist continued to bombard, crushing the thousands of sword shadows and attacking the absolute sword. After all, the Sword of Fatality had fought 2 battles in a row and had used up a lot of his divine power. On the other hand, the red flame demonic pine's cultivation was at the 7th level celestial deity realm, which was not something that boundless Sword Dao and Mo Jui could compare to. You're the one who's defeated. Red flame demonic pine shouted and continued to punch with its hill-like fist. The sky trembled, and the temperature was terrifyingly high. The air was about to burn up, and huge meteorites kept smashing toward the absolute sword. Don't be happy too early. Heaven extinguishing strike. The Sword of Fatality shouted in a low voice, and a terrifying sword chi burst out from his eyes. He waved his hands, and the sword shadows that filled the sky actually gathered into one. The body of the Absolute Sword seemed to merge with the thousands of sword shadows, turning into an extremely bright sword light. Whoosh! The sword light broke the attack of several meteorites at once and headed toward the red flame demonic pine. This was the most powerful strike of the Sword of Fatality. It was so powerful that the red flame demonic pine's pupils contracted sharply. Myriad divine fists, star explosion, kill, kill, kill. The red flame magic pine roared to the sky. All the flames in its body gathered on its fists. In an instant, it had punched thousands of times. Thousands of punches were thrown out in an instant. From an outsider's point of view, it was as if thousands of fist shadows had suddenly appeared in front of the red flame demonic pine. These thousands of fist shadows were completely condensed from flames and then rushed towards the Sword of Fatality. Boom! A deafening boom erupted in the fighting ring. The entire fighting ring was shaking. The endless force was scattered in all directions, but it was blocked by the battle formation. Many people with weak cultivation could only see the flames and sword light that filled the sky, blocking the red flame demonic pine and the invincible sword. Who can win? Many people were staring at the fighting ring unblinkingly, not even daring to blink, afraid of missing out on an exciting scene. Bang! Bang! On the fighting ring, there was a huge figure that was retreating. Not good, it's the red flame magic pine, he's retreating. The expressions of the people from the Qin Heaven starfield changed drastically, and their hearts sank. However, what made them happy the next moment was that the figure of the invincible sword was thrown out like a cannonball. He flew out of the fighting stage and fell out of it. He staggered back a few hundred meters before he could stabilize himself. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He won. Many people were overjoyed. The red flame demon pine was still standing on the battle platform, but the figure of the Sword of Fatality had already fallen off the battle platform. Naturally, the red flame demon pine had won. The red flame magic pine is also injured. Someone else spoke, and the joy on everyone's faces faded. Indeed, the red flame magic pine was also injured. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest, almost cutting his body diagonally, and blood kept flowing out. Although the red flame demonic pine had defeated the Sword of Fatality, it had also been severely injured. The Qin Heaven Star region had only won a small battle, but the situation was still very unfavorable for them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2934 Void Severing Hand. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. I've lost. The Absolute Sword left these words coldly. His figure flashed and he returned to the crowd of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. He sat cross-legged and began to heal. However, no one dared to underestimate the Sword of Fatality. In the beginning, the Sword of Fatality had defeated Sword Dao Wuji and Mo Jui in a row and had consumed a large amount of divine power. After that, it had actually fought with the 7th-level celestial deity Red Flame Demon Pine and caused both of them to be injured. This level of combat power was truly terrifying. If the Sword of Fatality was at its peak, it might not have lost to the Red Flame Demonic Pine. With that, there were still 5 people left in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. The Qin Heaven Star region still had 7 people. Although they still had the advantage in numbers, the people from the Qin Heaven Starfield were not confident at all. The Red Flame Magic Pine didn't say anything. He was seizing the opportunity to heal his injuries and recover some strength. You've cultivated the ancient god body at the 7th level celestial deity realm. Your strength is considered not bad among the 7th-level celestial deities. In the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, the golden-robed young man spoke again. As he spoke, he slowly walked out and landed on the fighting ring. Jin Xing is about to make his move. Jin Xing finally can't hold it in anymore. That's good. With his help, this battle will end. I won't have to do anything. Well, just watch the show. The remaining few youths from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion laughed out loud. Their expressions were relaxed and they looked like they would definitely win. The red flame demon Pine looked at the golden-robed young man with a serious look. From the start, the golden-robed young man had been speaking on behalf of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. It could be seen that this person's talent must be very shocking. You want to seize the time to recover, right? I'll give you a chance. Jin Xing said indifferently. He stood there without moving, letting the red flame demon Pine recover. He looked very confident. Seeing this, the red flame demonic Pine naturally did not hold back. It took out a few divine pills for healing and recovering divine power, swallowed them in one go, and used its divine technique to recover with all its might. The wound on his chest was wriggling at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it was recovering quickly. After half an hour, the wound on Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine's chest had completely disappeared. His condition had also returned to its peak. Come, let's fight. Although you gave me time to recover, I won't show any mercy. The red flame demonic Pine stared at Jin Xing, its battle intent strong. However, Jin Xing shook his head and said, "You alone are not my match. You, attack together." Jin Xing's last sentence was directed at the Ice Immortal. What? This person wanted to challenge both the Red Flame Demon Pine and the Ice Fairy at the same time? Could it be that his cultivation has already reached the 8th level heavenly deity realm? Someone was shocked. No, this old man has observed him. This person's cultivation is at the 6th level of the celestial deity realm. In the Qin Heaven Star region, a white-haired god king spoke. What? He's only a 6th level celestial deity and he's already so confident that he wants to challenge the Ice Immortal and the Red Flame Demon Pine at the same time? Where does he get his confidence from? That's right. The Sword of Fatality is strong enough, but at his peak, he's at most on par with the Red Flame Magic Pine. In the Qin Heaven Star region, many people were shouting in disbelief. A 6th level celestial deity actually challenged the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine and Ice Immortal at the same time. The Ice Immortal had always been as famous as the Red Flame Demonic Pine. The two had fought many times in the past, but it was difficult to determine a winner. The Red Flame Demonic Pine had broken through to the 7th level celestial deity realm, so the Ice Immortal must be in the same situation. Moreover, they were all divine sons and peerless geniuses. Where did Jin Xing's confidence come from? You really want to challenge the two of us? This is not in line with the rules. At that time, if we win, Ice Deity said. If you can win, it'll be your win. Before Ice Immortal could speak, Jin Xing said indifferently. All right. Ice Immortal agreed immediately. Since the other party was so confident, there was no reason for him to refuse. Taking a step forward, Ice Fairy also appeared on the fighting ring, standing side by side with Red Flame Demonic Pine, and a terrible chill emanated from her body. Ice Immortal and Red Flame Magic Pine, one cold and one hot, formed a terrible wave and rushed towards Jin Xing Bang. Jin Xing took a step forward, and his aura bloomed. 6th level celestial deity, his cultivation was indeed only at the 6th level celestial deity. The golden divine power covered his whole body and destroyed the breath of Ice Immortal and Red Flame Demon Pine. Ice Immortal, you go left, I'll go right. Red Flame Demonic Pine sent a message to Ice Immortal, and then rushed to the right of Jin Xing. At the same time, Ice Immortal rushed to Jin Xing's left side. As she rushed out, her body quickly grew and turned into an ancient god body. The moment she attacked, everyone knew Ice Immortal's cultivation. She was indeed a 7th-level celestial deity. Falling Star. Rapid Ice Sword. Both the Red Flame Magic Pine and Ice Immortal launched their ultimate moves at the same time, and charged towards Jin Xing. Since Jin Xing was so confident, he definitely had terrifying strength. They didn't think that Jin Xing was just acting tough. The Red Flame Demon Pine and Ice Fairy were mortal enemies. They had fought with each other countless times and knew each other the best. Their cooperation was flawless. The two attacks were about to drown Jin Xing. Jin Xing, who was the size of an ordinary person, was like an ant in front of the two ancient god bodies. However, Jin Xing remained calm in the face of the two's pincer attack. Void Severing Hand. Jin Xing muttered. His two palms turned golden as if they were cast from gold. Then, he struck at Ice Fairy and Red Flame Demonic Pine with his palm. Boom! Boom! Jin Xing's golden palm collided with the attacks of the Ice Immortal and the Red Flame Demonic Pine, causing two loud bangs. Then, the meteorites launched by the Red Flame Demon Pine exploded. The Red Flame Demon Pine's body shook violently, and it retreated continuously. At the same time, Ice Immortal's attack also exploded, and he was forced to retreat. This scene was extremely shocking and impactful. It was as if two elephants had been forced back by an ant. How is that possible? Many people opened their mouths in disbelief. Ice Immortal and Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine were 7th-level celestial deity divine sons and had used the ancient god body, but they were still no match for Jin Xing and were forced back. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's gaze landed on Jin Xing's two golden palms. Just now, Lu Ming felt that Jin Xing's palm burst out with a terrible destructive power, which destroyed the attacks of the Ice Immortal and the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine in one move. The Void Severing Hand? Lu Ming muttered. This was a terrifying secret skill. Get down. After pushing back Ice Immortal and Red Flame Demonic Pine with one move, Jin Xing shouted coldly, took a step forward, and rushed towards the Red Flame Demonic Pine. He then struck out a palm towards the Red Flame Demonic Pine. A golden palm formed. It was huge, even bigger than the ancient god body of the Red Flame Demon Pine, and it pressed down on the Red Flame Demon Pine. The Red Flame Demonic Pine roared and kept punching out with its magma-like fists at the golden palm print. However, the golden palm print was shockingly powerful. As it pressed down, the magma-like fist kept exploding. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. It'll give you a chance to fight. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. On the other side, when Jin Xing was attacking the Red Flame Demonic Pine, Ice Immortal also launched an attack on Jin Xing. However, Jin Xing waved his hand and a golden sword flew out, blocking the attack of Ice Immortal. No matter how hard Ice Immortal attacked, the golden sword could always block him. Jin Xing was attacking the Red Flame Demon Pine with all his strength. The golden palm print pressed down, and the Red Flame Demonic Pine retreated. Jin Xing's strength was truly astonishing. They were both 6th-level celestial deities, but he was stronger than the Absolute Sword. No wonder he dared to challenge the Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine and the Ice Immortal at the same time. The Red Flame Demon Pine roared and exerted its strength to the extreme, but it was still no match for Jin Xing Buzz. Jin Xing's figure rapidly approached the Red Flame Demonic Pine, and his golden palm once again chopped down. The terrifying power made the pupils of the Red Flame Magic Pine contract sharply. He roared in anger and threw two punches forward with lava wrapped around his fists. However, the moment his fist collided with Jin Xing's palm, his fist exploded. The red flame demon pine screamed and retreated. "Get down!" Jin Xing was like a golden stream of light. He approached quickly and hit the chest of the red flame demonic pine with his palm. The red flame magic pine screamed again. The defense of the ancient god body couldn't resist Jin Xing's attack at all. A big hole was blown out of its chest, and it was sent flying out of the fighting ring. When he flew out of the fighting ring, the red flame magic pine's body had returned to its normal size. It fell heavily out of the fighting ring and coughed up blood. Everyone saw that there was a big hole in the chest of the red flame magic pine. The flesh and blood had disappeared, and it was a terrible sight. The red flame demon pine quickly took out a healing elixir and took it to heal its injuries. In this way, only Ice Fairy was left on the fighting ring. Buzz! After defeating the red flame demon pine, Jin Xing turned around and attacked the Ice Immortal. Ice Immortal's expression changed and she retreated, not daring to confront Jin Xing, 10,000 miles of ice. Ice Immortal waved her palm several times in a row, turning the fighting ring into a frozen world. He planned to use the swimming method to fight with Jin Xing, and then look for an opportunity to see if he could win. "You want to use this method to fight me? You're really stupid." Void severing palm imprint. Die! Jin Xing shouted, and his body was filled with brilliant golden divine light. In the sky, a golden palm print was formed. It was extremely huge, covering the entire fighting ring and pressing down. In this way, no matter what, Ice Immortal would be covered by the palm print. No matter what, he had to fight with the other party. Ice Immortal had no choice but to use all her strength to block the palm print. Facing Jin Xing alone, he was even less of a match. In the end, his result was the same as the red flame demonic pine. He was sent flying out of the battle stage and was seriously injured. Jin Xing defeated the Ice Immortal and the red flame demon pine. In the Qin Heaven Star region, many people's faces were pale. He was defeated. The Qin Heaven Starfield had been defeated. Ice Fairy, Red Flame Demonic Pine, Sword Dao Wuji, Mo Jui, and Grey Flame Army Breaker, the 5 great deity-level characters, had been defeated one after another. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. It seemed like he could not buy any more time. Sigh, there's only 10 years left. If we can't find the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's treasure in 10 years, when the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's army arrives, all the forces in the Qin Heaven Starfield will be annihilated. Who on earth stole the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion? Many people roared in their hearts. In their eyes, this competition had ended with the defeat of Ice Immortal and Red Flame Demon Pine. Although there are a few geniuses in the Qin Heaven Starfield, they can't even withstand a single blow. Therefore, you only have 10 years. After 10 years, if you can't hand over the treasures, you can just wait to be destroyed. Jin Xing coldly said. The competition isn't over yet. It's still too early for you to make a conclusion. At this moment, a voice was heard. The person who spoke was naturally Lu Ming. Many people's gazes turned to Lu Ming. Don't tell me he still wants to go up and compete? Although we still have 5 people left, Ice Immortal and Red Flame Demon Pine have both been defeated. What's the use of the remaining 5 people? The defeat is set. Many people shook their heads and sighed. Young man, forget it. Let's admit defeat for this match. Why bring disgrace upon ourselves? One of the elders advised Lu Ming. He had good intentions. There was no rule against killing in this competition. If the difference in strength was too great, it would be a great injustice if he was killed by a palm strike. I didn't, but am not willing to accept it. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward towards the fighting ring. He landed on the fighting ring and stood opposite Jin Xing. You want to fight me? Jin Xing was also stunned. His eyes flashed with golden light and he could see Lu Ming's cultivation clearly. Third-level celestial deity. A third-level celestial deity actually wanted to exchange blows with him. It was truly a gargantuan joke. Seventh-level celestial deity geniuses like Ice Immortal and Scarlet Flame Demon Pine were not his match. What use could a third-level celestial deity have? Even if the divine power he controlled was divine-grade divine power, he could kill it with one finger. 10 years is too short. We won't be able to find the treasure you want. So, we can only take a risk and fight for 1,000 years. Lu Ming smiled. However, you might have to pay with your life for this. Jin Xing said. Of course I know, but I'm afraid you're still not strong enough to take my life. Lu Ming smiled faintly, looking very confident. This made many people in the Qin Heaven Starfield curl their lips. Lu Ming was too confident. With Jin Xing's terrifying strength, he was still a little short of taking his life. I'm afraid that one move would be enough to crush him into pieces. This kid waited until now and he actually wants to fight with Jin Xing. He really doesn't know what's good for him. Qin Wuyo mocked from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion side. He initially thought that Lu Ming was hiding and would not dare to attack. He did not expect that he would come out to attack now. In his opinion, it was not that he was cowardly but that he was stupid. Lu Ming, Ouyang Xiangxiang, Yu Linglong, and the others clenched their fists tightly. Although they knew that Lu Ming was very powerful, the strength that Jin Xing had just displayed was too terrifying. Could Lu Ming really fight Jin Xing? In their hearts, they were not confident. Young Master will definitely win. Only Qiu Yu had full confidence in Lu Ming. She had seen Lu Ming's rise. Along the way, Lu Ming had created too many miracles. She always believed that Lu Ming would not lose. Is that so? You're very confident. I hope you have the right to be confident. Jin Xing sneered. His body emitted a golden light as he prepared to attack. Wait a moment, stop. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted. Jin Xing was about to take a step forward, but he stopped in his tracks and almost could not catch his breath. What is this kid trying to do? Many people looked at each other. What are you doing? Jin Xing gritted his teeth and asked. I don't want to fight with you now. What's that thing called again? By the way, Qin Wuyo, that Qin Wuyo, didn't you want to fight with me? Come, they'll give you a chance to fight. Lu Ming's gaze turned to Qin Wuyo. Chapter 2936, A Life for a Life. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. What? He wants to challenge Qin Wuyo. Many people were stunned. They could not figure out Lu Ming's tricks at all. Even Qin Wuyo himself was dumbfounded. He had already been defeated previously. He never expected that Lu Ming would challenge him now. Are you sure you want to challenge Qin Wuyo first? Qin Wuyo was already defeated before. If you really want to challenge him, don't say that we broke the rules. Jin Xing said. Don't worry, it won't take much effort to deal with him. Lu Ming said loudly. Many people were disdainful. This braggart really didn't need a draft. Qin Wuyo was also a divine son. His combat strength was similar to that of Zhangyan Pejuan. Lu Ming actually said that it would not take much effort to deal with him. Who did he think he was? Jin Xing? What is Lu Ming doing? Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and the others were also puzzled, not knowing what Lu Ming was up to. Mo Jui had fought with Lu Ming 200 years ago and knew his strength. Lu Ming was only slightly stronger than him. It was possible for him to defeat Qin Wuyo, but they didn't believe that it would take him much effort. I accept this battle. At this moment, Qin Wuyo shouted. In a flash, he appeared on the fighting ring. All he wanted was to kill Lu Ming. Now that Lu Ming was courting death, how could he miss it? Alright, I'll leave him to you. Jin Xing nodded and retreated to the side. In his opinion, Lu Ming was only a third-level celestial deity, and Qin Wuyo was more than enough. You should have recovered by now. I'll let you make the first move. You won't have the chance to make a move in the future. Lu Ming said loudly. However, in the eyes of others, he was just acting cool. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. 7 Injury Divine Fist, kill. Qin Wuyo made his move, and his first move was the 7 Wounded Divine Fist. In fact, he did not dare to underestimate Lu Ming too much. After all, Qin Wushang and the others had been ruthlessly abused by Lu Ming in the Kongxian sect. One must know that Qin Wushang and the others were not weak. Therefore, Qin Wuyo used his ultimate move right from the start, trying to kill Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming made his move as well. However, he did not activate the battle character to multiply his combat strength or transform into an ancient god body. 10 divine flames burned in his body, and his divine power surged. Ice chains. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and 9 ice chains rushed out of his body. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 9 ice chains were like 9 long snakes as they charged toward Qin Wuyo. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, the power of the ice chain was shocking. In particular, there was a special icy liquid in the 9th chain. As Lu Ming's cultivation level increased, the power of the liquid could be more and more activated. Wherever the 9 ice chains passed, the temperature in the air dropped sharply, and ice crystals appeared. Break! Qin Wuyo shouted and tried to break the ice chains. However, when his fist force collided with the ice chains, his expression changed drastically. He felt an extremely cold intent spreading towards him, and he felt as if all the blood in his body was going to freeze. He roared and used his own strength to injure himself to increase the power of the 7 Injury Divine Fist. Boom! After self-mutilating, the power of the 7 Divine Injures Fist had indeed increased by a level. The fist radiance brightened, and 8 of the 9 ice chains shook violently before collapsing. However, the 9th ice chain was extremely hard. It broke through the fist force and wrapped around Qin Wuyo. At the same time, the extreme cold of the 9th ice chain gushed out madly and sealed Qin Wuyo in ice. His body froze in midair. Bang! Lu Ming controlled the ice chain and swung it up, smashing it heavily on the fighting ring. The fighting ring shook violently. Qin Wuyo screamed in pain as dozens of bones in his body were broken. He spat out a large mouthful of blood like a dead fish. The entire place was deathly silent as they looked at this scene, dumbfounded. Many people thought that they were dreaming, or that their eyes were playing tricks on them. A divine sun character, a genius who had fought with the Ashen Flames breaking army and suffered heavy losses, was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. This was simply like reading a novel. Bang! Just as everyone was in a daze, Lu Ming picked Qin Wuyo up again and smashed him heavily on the fighting ring. Qin Wuyo let out a shrill cry. This time, his injuries were even more serious. Like a pool of mud, his eyes rolled back and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. The crowd finally woke up, and then, there was a clamor. He won. Lu Ming actually won. So powerful. Qin Wushang's strength is not weaker than the Ashen Flames army destroyer, but he was defeated in one move. This is too exaggerated. I didn't expect the Kongxian sect to have such a powerful prodigy. I've never heard of him before. The people of the Qin Heaven Starfield, other than being surprised, were also excited. They were already in despair, but at this moment, they couldn't help but have a little hope. Of course, it was only a little. After all, Jin Xing was too strong. Among them, the most shocked were Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and Canyan Pajuan. 200 years ago, Mo Jui had fought with Lu Ming. Back then, Lu Ming's combat strength was only slightly stronger than Mo Jui's. He was on the same level as them. But now, Qin Wuyo, who had suffered great losses along with Greyflame Army Breaker, was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. Did this not mean that Lu Ming's ability was far above theirs? Third-level heavenly deity, his cultivation has broken through to the third-level heavenly deity. How is this possible? How could he have broken through 2 levels in a short 200 years? Mo Jui roared in his heart. 200 years ago, he was well aware that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the first-tier celestial deity realm. It would take a long time for a sky celestial to break through to the next level. Even if they were peerless geniuses, they would still need a long time. 200 years was too short. Unless he had a great fortuitous encounter. He must have had a fortuitous encounter all these years. Damn it! Mo Jui and Sword Dao Wuji roared in their hearts. They were extremely jealous. I've lost, put me down. Qin Wuyo roared. You're too naive to think that I'll let you down just because I lost. Lu Ming said indifferently and looked at Ice Fairy, this guy killed one of you. Today, I'll exchange his life for another. Upon hearing this, Qin Wuyo was scared out of his wits. He struggled madly, but he was frozen by the ice chains. How could he struggle? No, you can't kill me. You can't. Help me. He shouted. Stop. On the other side, Jin Xing also shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming, wanting to save Qin Wuyo. However, Lu Ming would not give him the chance. A powerful force rushed into Qin Wuyo's body through the ice chains. Qin Wuyo let out an unreconciled scream as his body was torn into pieces and he died on the spot. Chapter 2937 Great Battle Against the Gold Punishment Faction. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Everyone present was stunned. He did not expect Lu Ming to really dare to kill Qin Wuyo. No matter how arrogant Qin Wuyo was, he was still the proud son of heaven from the Qin family, a great family in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. His decisiveness was truly shocking. Lu Ming, you actually dared to kill the pride of my Qin clan. You're courting death, one of the Qin clan's paragons roared and glared at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming ignored him. He looked at Ice Fairy and said, a life for a life. I'll help you take back the life of the brother from the Ice Soul clan. Many thanks. Ice Immortal cupped her fists and thanked him sincerely. To be honest, he also wanted to kill Qin Wuyo, but he didn't have the chance. Boom! At this moment, the fighting ring shook. Jin Xing landed on the fighting ring, and his body burst out with a dazzling golden light. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was imposing. His eyes were cold as he stared at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, right? Very good. Your abilities have exceeded my expectations. Now, I'll be your opponent. Wait a moment. Lu Ming shouted again. Jin Xing was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He stared at Lu Ming with sinister eyes and said, what do you want now? It's nothing. I just feel that you're no match for me alone. Call a few more and come at me together. Lu Ming said casually. What? Everyone's eyes widened as they thought they had heard wrong. Lu Ming actually complained that Jin Xing was not his opponent and wanted to call a few more opponents to attack him together? Arrogant, presumptuous. Previously, Jin Xing was already arrogant enough when he asked the Ice Immortal and the Red Flame Demonic Pine to attack together. However, Lu Ming was even more arrogant now. The combat power that Jin Xing had displayed just now was obvious to all. It was extremely shocking and terrifying. Lu Ming actually despised Jin Xing for not having enough strength? Although Lu Ming had easily defeated Qin Wuyo could not compare to Jin Xing. Although the two of them had the same cultivation, Jin Xing could probably defeat Qin Wuyo in one move. How arrogant! I don't need anyone else to deal with you. Let me see what you're capable of. Stop! Jin Xing coldly shouted as the golden light around his body became even more dazzling. Thump! Thump! Jin Xing took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Lu Ming. He slashed his golden palm at Lu Ming. The palm had yet to reach him, but the terrifying force was already surging toward Lu Ming, erupting with a terrifying cutting force. If it were an ordinary third-level celestial deity existence, they would probably be torn apart by this terrifying force directly. However, Lu Ming was no ordinary third-level celestial deity. His combat strength was God knows how many times stronger than ordinary third-level celestial deities. And NBSP, the 10 divine flames in his body surged, and 10 powerful divine powers gathered together and charged. At the same time, Lu Ming triggered the fourfold increase in combat strength of the battle formula. His combat strength soared wildly. Lu Ming circulated the divine dragon materialization art and threw a punch. The surging divine power surged toward Lu Ming's palm. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. A 9-clawed divine dragon flew out from Lu Ming's fist. The 9 dragon claws grabbed at Jin Xing in succession and collided with Jin Xing's golden palm. Bang! 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 9 consecutive explosions were heard. The force that erupted from the point of collision swept in all directions like a gale. Void severing hand, break everything, kill, die. Jin Xing coldly shouted. The light on his palm grew even brighter. The 9-clawed divine dragon shook violently before it exploded. Jin Xing's long hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was wild. He shouted, "Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant? What a disappointment, lose." With that, Jin Xing struck his palm at Lu Ming again. Then, again. Lu Ming's faint voice was heard and he punched out with both fists. Roar! Roar! Dragon roars were heard continuously. With every punch that Lu Ming threw, a 9-clawed divine dragon would fly out. 6 9-clawed divine dragons flew toward Jin Xing one after another and launched violent attacks. Jin Xing's expression changed slightly. Previously, he had only used one palm. Now, he was using the second. 2 golden palms flew out and attacked the 9-clawed divine dragon. Jin Xing's void-breaking hand looked very ordinary. When he attacked, there was no strange phenomenon. However, its power was indeed astonishing. It was said to have the ability to break the void. Every time it collided with the 9-clawed divine dragon, it would shake the 9-clawed divine dragon. The two people's intense confrontation soon exchanged hundreds of moves. The people around them were stunned. They had never expected that Lu Ming could really fight Jin Xing previously. Many people thought that Lu Ming was bragging. Now, it seemed that Lu Ming was really capable, although it was still a little boastful that he wanted to challenge many people at the same time. This person's battle power is very strong. At this moment, the paragons of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion and the elders who had come with them all revealed shocked expressions. A third-level celestial deity can actually resist Jin Xing's void-shattering hand. Even the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion has never seen such a monstrous talent before. An old man sighed. A third-level celestial deity able to battle Jin Xing was truly too terrifying. Jin Xing himself was also a peerless heaven's favorite. Although he was only a 6th-level heavenly deity, it was easy for him to kill ordinary 9th-level heavenly deities. But for a 3rd-level celestial deity to have such powerful battle strength, it was truly unheard of. I'm afraid only the core of the sacred dynasty would have such a monster. In the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, another old man also sighed. A tiny little Qin Tian starfield actually produced such a heaven's favorite. It truly exceeded their expectations. Ice chains. At this moment, Lu Ming cast the ice chains. 9 chains wrapped around Jin Xing, exuding a shocking chill. Void-breaking sword. Jin Xing said coldly. A golden light shot out from between his eyebrows, and a golden combat sword flew out. Buzz. The golden sword slashed down and cut off 2 ice chains. Then, it slashed again and cut off a few more ice chains. In the end, only the 9th ice chain could fight with the other party. Very good, Lu Ming. I didn't expect you to force me to this point. It's your honor to be able to see my ultimate move next. Break through the ages. Jin Xing roared. The golden combat sword flew toward him and was caught in his hand. However, Jin Xing didn't intend to attack with his sword. After Jin Xing grabbed it, the sword actually melted into a pool of golden liquid and integrated with his palm. Buzz. Jin Xing's hands came together and chopped down. Rip. An extremely terrifying golden light burst out and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. With a thought, the 6 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma forms pounced at Jin Xing. However, the golden light was truly terrifying. When the first 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma power collided with the golden light, the dragon claw collapsed, and then the dragon body was split into 2. Then, there was a second one, a third one. An 8th-level heavenly deity genius. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Wherever the golden light from Jin Xing passed, the 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma images were shattered one after another. In an instant, the 6 divine dragon images all exploded. Even the 9th ice chain was not able to block it and was cut apart by the golden light. The terrifying golden light slashed at Lu Ming directly. Its power was truly terrifying. I didn't want to kill you, but you forced me to use this move. I can't even control myself. Go in peace. Jin Xing's eyes were cold as he thought of something. Buzz. The golden light pounced at Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming retreated quickly, but the speed of the golden light was extremely fast and it was in close pursuit of him. What will happen? The surrounding spectators' hearts were in their throats. Jin Xing's move was too terrifying. He broke Lu Ming's attack with one move and forced Lu Ming to retreat. Would Lu Ming be defeated or even die by this move? Just as Lu Ming was about to be cut by the golden light, a loud roar reverberated throughout the entire area. Then, Lu Ming's body expanded rapidly, and a 100-meter-tall giant appeared on the fighting ring. Moon slaying. Lu Ming used his ancient god body, but he didn't use his full strength. He only used the orange-armored ancient god, turning into a 100-meter-tall orange-armored ancient god. The long spear in his hand slashed out, and a crescent-shaped spear light slashed forward, clashing with the golden light. Boom! The 2 rays of light collided, creating a deafening boom. The eye-piercing radiance was so dazzling that one could not open their eyes. The 2 rays of light trembled continuously. Then, the golden light trembled even more violently before it exploded with a bang. Buzz! A figure retreated. It was Jin Xing. Jin Xing retreated a few thousand meters and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were full of disbelief. His most powerful move had actually been broken, and he himself had suffered heavy injuries. The ancient god body. He has also cultivated the ancient god body. The paragons of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion all exclaimed. As for the people of the Qin heaven starfield, they were ecstatic. Jin Xing, what other unique skills do you have? Use them all. Otherwise, it won't be enough. Lu Ming shouted and waved his long spear. Another crescent-shaped spear radiance swept toward Jin Xing, void-severing hand. Jin Xing shouted loudly and continuously struck out with his palms in an attempt to block Lu Ming's attacks. However, after Lu Ming transformed into an ancient god body, his combat strength was increased by 4 times. His combat strength was already above Jin Xing's. He could not resist him at all. Boom! Boom! Jin Xing's body shook violently. With every collision, he was forced to retreat 100 meters. Soon, he was at the edge of the fighting ring. Let's end this. Lu Ming shouted coldly. He held the spear with both hands and struck down with all his might. The huge spear radiance was like a mountain range, pressing down on Jin Xing. Jin Xing roared and tried his best to resist. However, even though he was unwilling, he couldn't change the fact. When the spear radiance pressed down, he spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying out of the battle stage. Jin Xing was defeated. At first, there was silence, but then there was a burst of enthusiastic cheers. We won, we won. Lu Ming actually defeated Jin Xing. It's too shocking. There's hope, there's hope. Many people shouted. Their eyes were filled with anticipation and excitement. Previously, many people had ignored Lu Ming and did not pay attention to him at all. Most of them had placed their hopes on Ice Fairy, Red Flame Magic Pine, Sword Dao Limitless, Mo Jui, and Grey Flame Army Destroyer. When they saw Ice Fairy and Red Flame Demonic Pine being defeated one after another, they were in despair, thinking that there was no suspense in this competition. He had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly appear and actually defeat Jin Xing. One must know that Jin Xing had defeated the Ice Immortal and the Red Flame Demon Pine at the same time. In this way, they saw hope again. Perhaps, Lu Ming could create miracles and continue to win. Perhaps Jin Xing was the strongest person in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. This fellow, Mo Jui, Sword Dao Wuji, and the others' eyes turned grave. They knew that Lu Ming hadn't used his full strength. At least, Lu Ming's ancient god body was far more powerful than that of an orange-armored ancient god. He had not even used his full strength, yet he already had such battle prowess. They were already far behind. I told you to attack together, but you didn't listen. Now, who wants to fight? Lu Ming's gaze landed on the 4 remaining people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. There were still 4 youths left in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. At this moment, 3 of them had gloomy expressions. These 3 people's cultivation were all 7th level celestial deity. However, although their cultivation base was higher than Jin Xing's, their combat strength was not. Jin Xing was a famous heaven's favorite of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Even when facing a genius, he could fight above his level. They didn't have this ability. If Jin Xing was no match for him, neither were they. Their gazes turned to the last ordinary-looking young man. Among the 4 of them, only this person's expression could be considered calm. I'll fight this battle. An ordinary-looking young man with a saber in his arms stepped forward, exuding a terrifying aura. His Shen power was extremely strong. 8th level heavenly deity. Someone exclaimed. What? 8th level heavenly deity. Many people in the Qin Heaven Starfield exclaimed in shock. This ordinary-looking young man with a battle saber in his arms had actually reached the 8th level celestial deity realm. In the younger generation, to have such a cultivation, it was absolutely shocking. One had to know that Ice Fairy and Scarlet Flame Demonic Pine had also just broken through to the 7th level celestial deity not long ago. We're in trouble. Many people were secretly worried for Lu Ming. Although Jin Xing was strong, he was only at the 6th level heavenly deity. No matter how strong he was probably not a match for an 8th level heavenly deity at the Divine Child's level. Could Lu Ming be defeated? Buzz. The ordinary-looking young man walked step by step in the void. The saber in his arms trembled slightly, and then a saber radiance broke through the void and shot into the clouds. He was a saber user, an existence on par with sword cultivators. He was famous for his offensive power. 8th level heavenly deity? Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. Ever since this person revealed his cultivation, Lu Ming finally had an idea. This was because from the expressions of the 4 remaining people from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, Lu Ming could tell that this swordsman should be the strongest. As long as an 8th level celestial deity was not as abnormal as Jin Xing, Lu Ming was confident. Wei Dao, I'll be your opponent. The ordinary-looking young man said. Wait a minute, one by one. It's too much of a waste of time. The few of you should come at me together. I'll take care of you all at once. Lu Ming said loudly, his gaze fixed on the remaining 3 people from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. I alone am enough. Wei Dao said coldly. No, you can't do it alone. Lu Ming shook his head. Many people were speechless. What was Lu Ming doing? Could it be that after defeating Jin Xing, his self-confidence had exploded? Or was Lu Ming still preserving his strength? Many people's imagination ran wild. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2937 Great Battle Against the Gold Punishment Faction. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Everyone present was stunned. He did not expect Lu Ming to really dare to kill Qin Wuyo. No matter how arrogant Qin Wuyo was, he was still the proud son of heaven from the Qin family, a great family in the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. His decisiveness was truly shocking. Lu Ming, you actually dared to kill the pride of my Qin clan. You're courting death, one of the Qin clan's paragons roared and glared at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming ignored him. He looked at Ice Fairy and said, a life for a life. I'll help you take back the life of the brother from the Ice Soul clan. Many thanks. Ice Immortal cupped her fists and thanked him sincerely. To be honest, he also wanted to kill Qin Wuyo, but he didn't have the chance. Boom! At this moment, the fighting ring shook. Jin Xing landed on the fighting ring, and his body burst out with a dazzling golden light. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was imposing. His eyes were cold as he stared at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, right? Very good. Your abilities have exceeded my expectations. Now, I'll be your opponent. Wait a moment. Lu Ming shouted again. Jin Xing was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He stared at Lu Ming with sinister eyes and said, what do you want now? It's nothing. I just feel that you're no match for me alone. Call a few more and come at me together. Lu Ming said casually. What? Everyone's eyes widened as they thought they had heard wrong. Lu Ming actually complained that Jin Xing was not his opponent and wanted to call a few more opponents to attack him together? Arrogant, presumptuous. Previously, Jin Xing was already arrogant enough when he asked the Ice Immortal and the Red Flame Demonic Pine to attack together. However, Lu Ming was even more arrogant now. The combat power that Jin Xing had displayed just now was obvious to all. It was extremely shocking and terrifying. Lu Ming actually despised Jin Xing for not having enough strength. Although Lu Ming had easily defeated Qin Wuyo could not compare to Jin Xing. Although the two of them had the same cultivation, Jin Xing could probably defeat Qin Wuyo in one move. How arrogant! I don't need anyone else to deal with you. Let me see what you're capable of. Stop! Jin Xing coldly shouted as the golden light around his body became even more dazzling. Thump! Thump! Jin Xing took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Lu Ming. He slashed his golden palm at Lu Ming. The palm had yet to reach him, but the terrifying force was already surging toward Lu Ming, erupting with a terrifying cutting force. If it were an ordinary third-level celestial deity existence, they would probably be torn apart by this terrifying force directly. However, Lu Ming was no ordinary third-level celestial deity. His combat strength was God knows how many times stronger than ordinary third-level celestial deities. And NBSP, the 10 divine flames in his body surged, and 10 powerful divine powers gathered together and charged. At the same time, Lu Ming triggered the fourfold increase in combat strength of the battle formula. His combat strength soared wildly. Lu Ming circulated the divine dragon materialization art and threw a punch. The surging divine power surged toward Lu Ming's palm. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. A 9-clawed divine dragon flew out from Lu Ming's fist. The 9 dragon claws grabbed at Jin Xing in succession and collided with Jin Xing's golden palm. Bang! 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 9 consecutive explosions were heard. The force that erupted from the point of collision swept in all directions like a gale. Void severing hand, break everything, kill, die. Jin Xing coldly shouted. The light on his palm grew even brighter. The 9-clawed divine dragon shook violently before it exploded. Jin Xing's long hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was wild. He shouted, "Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant? What a disappointment, lose." With that, Jin Xing struck his palm at Lu Ming again. Then, again. Lu Ming's faint voice was heard and he punched out with both fists. Roar! Roar! Dragon roars were heard continuously. With every punch that Lu Ming threw, a 9-clawed divine dragon would fly out. 6 9-clawed divine dragons flew toward Jin Xing one after another and launched violent attacks. Jin Xing's expression changed slightly. Previously, he had only used one palm. Now, he was using the second. 2 golden palms flew out and attacked the 9-clawed divine dragon. Jin Xing's void-breaking hand looked very ordinary. When he attacked, there was no strange phenomenon. However, its power was indeed astonishing. It was said to have the ability to break the void. Every time it collided with the 9-clawed divine dragon, it would shake the 9-clawed divine dragon. The two people's intense confrontation soon exchanged hundreds of moves. The people around them were stunned. They had never expected that Lu Ming could really fight Jin Xing previously. Many people thought that Lu Ming was bragging. Now, it seemed that Lu Ming was really capable, although it was still a little boastful that he wanted to challenge many people at the same time. This person's battle power is very strong. At this moment, the paragons of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion and the elders who had come with them all revealed shocked expressions. A third-level celestial deity can actually resist Jin Xing's void-shattering hand. Even the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion has never seen such a monstrous talent before. An old man sighed. A third-level celestial deity able to battle Jin Xing was truly too terrifying. Jin Xing himself was also a peerless heaven's favorite. Although he was only a 6th-level heavenly deity, it was easy for him to kill ordinary 9th-level heavenly deities. But for a 3rd-level celestial deity to have such powerful battle strength, it was truly unheard of. I'm afraid only the core of the sacred dynasty would have such a monster. In the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion, another old man also sighed. A tiny little Qin Tian starfield actually produced such a heaven's favorite. It truly exceeded their expectations. Ice chains. At this moment, Lu Ming cast the ice chains. 9 chains wrapped around Jin Xing, exuding a shocking chill. Void-breaking sword. Jin Xing said coldly. A golden light shot out from between his eyebrows, and a golden combat sword flew out. Buzz! The golden sword slashed down and cut off 2 ice chains. Then, it slashed again and cut off a few more ice chains. In the end, only the 9th ice chain could fight with the other party. Very good, Lu Ming. I didn't expect you to force me to this point. It's your honor to be able to see my ultimate move next. Break through the ages. Jin Xing roared. The golden combat sword flew toward him and was caught in his hand. However, Jin Xing didn't intend to attack with his sword. After Jin Xing grabbed it, the sword actually melted into a pool of golden liquid and integrated with his palm. Buzz! Jin Xing's hands came together and chopped down. Rip! An extremely terrifying golden light burst out and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. With a thought, the 6 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma forms pounced at Jin Xing. However, the golden light was truly terrifying. When the first 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma power collided with the golden light, the dragon claw collapsed, and then the dragon body was split into 2. Then, there was a second one, a third one. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2941 Conflict Triggered. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. He was actually defeated. At this moment, in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, some young men muttered to themselves. They found it hard to accept this fact. Before the battle, they were full of confidence, thinking that this was a competition without any suspense, and that they could not lose at all. Therefore, they agreed to Lu Ming and the rest's condition of extending the time limit by 1,000 years. Their goal was nothing more than to humiliate Lu Ming and the others and put pressure on the Qin Heaven Star Zone. They wanted to let the people of the Qin Heaven Star Zone know that the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion was not something they could fight against. It could also make the thief apprehensive and hand over the treasure obediently. In the beginning, the plot was indeed similar to what they had imagined. When the Absolute Sword and Jin Xing appeared, they practically crushed the Qin Heaven Starfield's geniuses with a sweeping attitude. However, they had never expected a dark horse to appear. Lu Ming had displayed abilities that even they were shocked by and had swept them in the opposite direction, causing them to taste defeat. At that moment, Lu Ming raised his hand and the entire place gradually quieted down. Lu Ming kept the ancient god tactic. His body began to shrink and he transformed into a human. Now, you've lost. It's time to fulfill the conditions you've agreed to. Lu Ming said loudly. The other people from the Qin Heaven Starfield also looked at the people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion with bright eyes. Jin Xing, Wei Dao, and the others had unsightly expressions. They wanted to deny it, but they had said it in public. They were the pride of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. It was really embarrassing to deny it. Therefore, they didn't know how to answer him. What's wrong? The dignified 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion wouldn't go back on their words, right? Lu Ming's voice rang out. He placed the blame on the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion so that they could not deny it even if they wanted to. How can we go back on our words? Alright, I'll promise you today. I'll give you the Qin Heaven Star region 1,000 years. After 1,000 years, if you still can't hand over the 9 Absolute Divine Crystal, the army of my 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion will definitely arrive. In the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion, a white-haired old man opened his mouth, and his voice spread throughout the entire place. Alright, it's a deal. Lu Ming continued. Remember, you only have 1,000 years. Go. The white-haired old man turned around and left after saying this. Lu Ming, I'll definitely defeat you one day and take revenge for today's humiliation. Jin Xing's eyes fell on Lu Ming and he said with fighting spirit. After today's defeat, I'm afraid you won't have any more chances in the future. Lu Ming replied, full of confidence. Let's wait and see. Jin Xing said coldly, then turned around and left. Very quickly, all the people from the Nine Heavens royal palace had left. The people of the Qin Heaven starfield were all ecstatic. This time, he had finally won 1,000 years. Although 1,000 years was nothing to the vast universe, at least he had a chance to catch his breath. Lu Ming had won this opportunity. Many people looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of gratitude. However, many major forces still felt a sense of urgency. 1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. Could they really find the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king manor? Let's go. Lu Ming went to Ouyang Qingxiang and the others and left the place together. After a while, they returned to Kongxian sect. Not long after, the news spread throughout the Qin Heaven Star region. The people of the 9 absolute heavenly king manor had indeed all withdrawn from the Qin Heaven Star region. However, the atmosphere in the Qin Heaven starfield did not relax because of this. Instead, it became even more solemn. That was because all the major forces in the Qin Heaven starfield were suspicious of each other. They were all guessing who had stolen the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. Who exactly stole the treasure of the 9 absolute heavenly king manor? Quickly hand it over. Are you trying to get everyone killed? Which force is so selfish, how hateful? More and more of such voices were heard. He guessed that this power had been stolen. He guessed that it was stolen by that power. There were already conflicts between the major forces of the Qin Heaven starfield. At this time, the conflicts were naturally triggered. Some forces even had some friction and showed signs of fighting. The Red Flame Clan and the Ice Soul Clan were like fire and water. The Red Flame Clan said that the Ice Soul Clan had stolen the treasures of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. However, the Ice Soul Clan was not to be outdone. They claimed that the Red Flame Clan had stolen the treasure. The two races were already mortal enemies and had deep conflicts. As a result, the fire of conflict between them was completely ignited. After a few months, the two races finally started to fight. In this battle, even many God King level experts were sent out. Both sides fought fiercely and both sides suffered losses. After that, it was a long tug of war. Both sides had invested a large number of troops in the border galaxy, and wars would break out from time to time. The atmosphere between the Qin Heavenly 13 clans was extremely tense. As for those small forces, everyone was in danger. 10 years passed just like that. The Qin Heaven 13 clans barely managed to maintain a balance. Occasionally, some small conflicts would erupt. However, if this continued, as the 1,000-year period drew closer, a war would definitely break out. At that time, before the 9 absolute heavenly king manor's army arrived, the Qin Heaven starfield would be weakened because of internal strife. One day, Lu Ming received a message from the Ice Soul Clan. They invited him to a gathering. Lu Ming was a little confused, but he did not refuse. He rushed to the Ice Soul Clan alone. Brother Lu, long time no see. You're getting stronger and stronger. You've already left me far behind. The person who received Lu Ming was the 9th young master of the Ice Soul Clan, Bing Qing. Bing Qing laughed at herself when she saw Lu Ming. When Lu Ming was fighting Jin Xing, Wei Dao and the rest, Bing Qing was in seclusion and did not see it. After hearing about it, she was naturally shocked. Brother Bing is too polite. I wonder what is the matter for your noble to call me here this time. Lu Ming said. I heard that it's about the treasure of the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion. Bing Qing's face turned solemn as she whispered to Lu Ming, as if she was afraid that others would hear her. A treasure from the 9 absolute heavenly king mansion? Could it be that there's news about the nobles? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. I think I've found a clue. Lu Ming, my father is waiting for you. Come with me. My father will tell you. Bing Qing said softly. Lu Ming was curious. If the Ice Soul clan had really found some clues, why did they call him here? What did this have to do with him? Curious, Lu Ming and Bing Qing came to a courtyard. There was a table in the courtyard, and there were only two people sitting at the table. One of them was Bing Qing's father, the clan leader of the Ice Soul clan. The other person was the number one genius of the Ice Soul clan, Bing Qing's seventh brother, Bing Xian. Lu Ming, you're here. Seeing Lu Ming, the clan leader of the Ice Soul clan and the Ice Immortal all smiled and stood up to welcome him. Lu Ming. Greetings, clan leader Bing. Lu Ming cupped his fists courteously and then greeted the ice deity. The clan leader's suspicion. Please continue reading on Oxville. Omicron M. Lu Ming, please take a seat. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan smiled heroically and invited Lu Ming to take a seat. Lu Ming and Bing Qing sat down at the side. I wonder why clan leader Bing has asked Lu Ming to come. Lu Ming did not beat around the bush and directly asked the question in his heart. Lu Ming, I've asked you to come this time because of the treasure that was stolen from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan said. Could it be that the clan leader has already found some clues? Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. I did find some clues, but I can't be sure. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan said. He pondered for a moment before he continued, Lu Ming, you should know about the Dark Ice clan, right? Dark Ice clan? You mean the clan that betrayed the Ice Soul clan? Lu Ming's expression changed. He still remembered that he had been sent to the Ice Soul clan on a mission to help the Ice Soul clan go to the ancestral land and retrieve the Ice Jade Cold Heart. In the ancestral land of the Ice Soul clan, he had met the prodigy of the Dark Ice clan. The two of them had fought over the Ice Jade Cold Heart. Could it be related to the Dark Ice clan? I speculate that the one who stole the treasure of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion was the Dark Ice clan. These years, the Dark Ice clan has been weakening day by day, and the 9 Absolute Divine Crystal can help the Dark Ice clan rise again. It can even defeat my clan and return to the peak of the Qin Tian starfield. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan said. Clan leader Bing, is this your speculation or is there evidence? Lu Ming took a sip of tea and asked calmly. He naturally wouldn't easily believe the other party's words. The Ice Soul clan and the Dark Ice clan had a deep hatred for each other. They both wanted to destroy each other. If the Ice Soul clan wanted to frame the Dark Ice clan, it was possible that they could take the opportunity to destroy the other. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan smiled when he heard Lu Ming's question. He was an experienced man who had lived for countless years. He naturally knew what Lu Ming was thinking. Lu Ming, you might think that I will frame the Dark Ice clan. However, this matter concerns the survival of the Qin Heaven Star Zone and my clan. I'm not a fool. There are plenty of opportunities to deal with the Dark Ice clan. Why would I choose this time? The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan smiled and continued, the Dark Ice clan used to be very active and often had conflicts with us. But recently, they've been hiding. They've hidden all of their clansmen. They haven't done anything yet. This is very suspicious. I suspect that they've obtained a treasure and want to accumulate power in the dark, waiting for the day to explode. Clan leader Bing, even if it was the Dark Ice clan's doing, with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King mansion's defense, how could the Dark Ice clan have stolen the treasure? Lu Ming asked again. If the Dark Ice clan was so powerful that they could steal the treasures from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King manor, they would have exterminated the Ice Soul clan and unified the Qin Heaven Star realm. This is the key to the problem. I suspect that there is a traitor in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion who is in cahoots with outsiders. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for outsiders to steal the treasure from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan said in a low voice. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. To be honest, Lu Ming had also thought of this before. The 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor was one of the 27 Heavenly King Manors in the Great Void Holy Dynasty. Not to mention Heavenly King 9 Cuts cultivation, even the guards of 9 Cuts Heavenly King Mansion were extremely terrifying and unfathomable. It was almost impossible for outsiders to steal the treasure from the guards without anyone knowing. There was only one reason: there was a traitor in the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion who was in cahoots with outsiders. This was the only way to steal the treasure without anyone knowing. However, which force in the Qin Heaven Starfield would collude with the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor's people? In the Qin Heaven Starfield, to be honest, whether it's my Ice Soul clan, the Scarlet Flame clan, or the Qin Heaven 13 clans, they're not worth mentioning in the eyes of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. We don't have the qualifications to make friends with the major forces and aristocratic families of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. However, the Dark Ice clan is an exception. After the Dark Ice clan was defeated, they left the Qin Heaven Star region and wandered to other places. It took a long time before they returned to the Qin Heaven Star region. Therefore, the Dark Ice clan is most likely to be acquainted with people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. Furthermore, my clan has always secretly sent people to keep an eye on the Dark Ice clan. A while ago, the Dark Ice clan was very active and would often send people out of the Qin Heaven Star system to the territory where the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion is located. This is the biggest suspicion. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan explained. It's actually like this. Lu Ming's eyes were also bright. After hearing what the patriarch of the Ice Soul clan said, he really thought that the Dark Ice clan was the most suspicious. If it's really the Dark Ice clan, then why did the experts of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion collude with the Dark Ice clan to steal the treasures of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion? What benefits would they get from doing this? Lu Ming asked. He still had many doubts. I'm not sure about this. I'm also confused. On the surface, it doesn't seem to benefit those people from the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. However, I guess they must have a purpose for doing this. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan also frowned. However, all of this is just my speculation. Without any evidence, it's not enough to be trusted. The people of the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion will not believe me. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan sighed. Chief Bing, what does this have to do with you inviting me here? Lu Ming asked again. Even if the clan leader of the Ice Soul clan was right, it had nothing to do with him. What kind of help could he provide? First of all, we have to find evidence of the Dark Ice race stealing the treasures. But to find evidence, it's almost impossible in the Qin Heaven Star domain. Only at the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Manor can we possibly find evidence. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan said. Clan leader Bing, you want me to go to the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion to find evidence? Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he asked. Not bad, yes. The Ice Soul clan's patriarch nodded. Our clan has planted an informer in the Dark Ice clan, but the Dark Ice clan has also planted an informer in our clan. As long as we send someone to the 9 Ultimate Heavenly King Mansion, we'll immediately alert the other party. We'll alert the enemy instead. Also, it's not suitable for those with high cultivation to head to the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion. They will also alert the Dark Ice race. Only those of the younger generation who go to the 9 Absolute Heavenly King Mansion with the excuse of training and looking for other heaven's favorites will not attract the attention of others. This is because there are many such things in every generation. Lu Ming understood now. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan wanted Lu Ming to go to the 9 Ultimate Heavenly King Mansion with the excuse of training to investigate the case of the 9 Ultimate Heavenly King Mansion's treasure being stolen and find evidence of the Dark Ice clan's theft. Alright, I'll go. Lu Ming nodded in agreement. The clan leader of the Ice Soul clan was stunned. He did not expect Lu Ming to agree so readily. He invited Lu Ming over only to raise this suggestion. As for whether Lu Ming would agree to it, he would not force him. He did not expect that Lu Ming would agree without the slightest hesitation. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.